intention of proposing to his girlfriend next week in Jerusalem. The ambassador said they were just wanting to enjoy an evening in Washington's Cultural Center. Now, here are the victims, Yaron Lachinsky and Sarah Milgram. The Israeli embassy posting this tribute saying they were our friends and colleagues. They were in the prime of their lives. This evening, a terrorist shot and killed them.
That's Fox's Lucas Tomlinson. They're getting ready to soon vote in the House after working all night on what President Trump calls one big, beautiful budget bill.
You will see an American renaissance, a golden age in this country that we haven't seen in generations. Why would people vote against that? Who knows?
Majority Leader Steve Scalise a short time ago on the House floor.
And this bill allows for the deportation of violent criminals that come here illegally and harm American citizens. We should all support that.
Democrats call it one big ugly bill, saying there are hundreds of reasons to vote no.
The GOP tax scam represents an assault on the economy, an assault on health care, an assault on nutritional assistance, an assault on tax fairness, and an assault on fiscal responsibility.
That's Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries minutes ago.
Millions of people will lose their coverage as a result of this GOP tax scam.
The Republicans say they're only cutting waste, fraud, and abuse from Medicaid and adding needed work requirements. The Pentagon has accepted a gift from Qatar, a Boeing 747 jet the president wants to use as Air Force One. America's listening to Fox.
Heroes like Austin Reese have paid a high price for our freedom. Austin served 3 deployments to Iraq. He spent 13 years with the Navy Explosive Ordnance Disposal Unit and became a military freefall instructor. But in what was thought to be a routine jump, something went terribly wrong. Austin was left paralyzed. Tunnel to Towers built Austin a specially adapted smart home. Help heroes. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. That's T2T.org.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-893-2288. 800-893-2288. 800-893-2288.
WFOM and W292EV Marietta, a Dickey Broadcasting Station. This hour is presented by Subaru of Gwinnett. You'll love the difference. The Morning Extra, only on Extra 106.3.
Morning, y'all. Tug and Los until 10 on Extra 106.3. What just happened?
Oh, no.
There's a frog jumped out on me.
I'm telling you, this whole ride down 400, it was one tissue after another. I don't know what's happened. This week, blooming. My nose won't stop.
Something's just blooming. Has to be.
So I'll catch one later.
Yeah, right. Just frogs jump out on me.
Or you're gonna hear the mic going off in the...
That's right. Trying to clear it out. No, I know. But, yeah, man, Thursdays are always good. Standing on tippy toes to see the weekend. I love it. I love it. I love it. And this is going to be a long weekend, too. Memorial Day weekend.
A little 3-day weekend.
Count me in for that. I've always been a proponent of the 4 and 3 plan. This is when I get to test my theory. How well do you like working 4 days, being all 3?
And today is the final day of school for my little ones. They've got the half day going.
Oh, that's right. I think Fulton County too, right?
So they are extremely excited. Well, a lot of the counties seem like they were done Wednesday. We had our walk yesterday.
Okay.
So 5th grade ended for us. They got one half day, and then today is the water gun balloon fight that we'll have at the bus stop.
Yeah.
And then there's the neighborhood pool party. And so
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's the unofficial start of summer for the little ones.
Yeah,
and I'll have a high schooler and a middle schooler starting next year.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Yeah, it'll be wild.
And let me tell you, so Laura and my wife and I were just talking about this the other day. Elementary school seemed like a long time, just when I reflect back on it. And when I was living it, it seemed like elementary school would never end. And then middle school rolled around, and it was noticeably quicker.
Yeah, I remember it flying by.
And then high school, dude, was a blink of an eye. And then college. My son's going to be a junior in college in August when they start the school. Time is such a thief. Such a thief.
Yeah, I find myself kind of on this, I'm in a strange place. I'm enjoying all of it. I'm taking in all of it.
Yeah.
At the same time, I'm always excited for what's next.
Yeah, sure. You have to be. I mean, that's beautiful.
So it turns into, as my wife yesterday is getting a little bit, she's getting a little verklempt when it came to, hey, it's the last day of real elementary school. And they walk out all the kids in their T-shirts and they walk them across the street to go to the next middle school. They do all that ceremony. And I'm just kind of beaming with pride because I'm like, man, she's going to be in 6th grade.
Yeah, that's great.
The other part of me is like, she's going to be in 6th grade.
Exactly, dude.
But my wife was different. My wife, it was, hey, we're done with elementary school, and she was much more emotional. Yeah,
it's never. I mean, we're
it's
done.
like we have to go back. I hope not.
Well, yeah. Well, but I just
Billy Madison style.
That's right.
My little Macy's got to go do 5th grade again.
That's right. Back to school.
She was sitting around waiting for Dirty Magazine Day, and we're like, we got to send her back to 3rd grade.
That's right. To prove to mom and dad that I'm not a fool. No, but the seasons of life and everything, I feel like it, at least the way I look at it, is broken down into seasons of life. And like we're in this season right now. It's a very short season where my son's home from college, and he's been home for 2 weeks now. This is the 2nd week.
And you have a couple more days?
And next Thursday.
Yeah.
Next Thursday. So a week from today, he'll be gone. This season will be over.
I don't think we talked about it on the air. So I was talking with our operations manager, Scott McFarland, and every now and then he'll duck in here. And Scotty Mac was talking about having to make it also to his kids' elementary school graduation. Yeah. And I told him, I was like, oh, man, it's going to be really hard for me to do it. I got to, yesterday we basically were knocking out the show, and then I had to leave. Sprint over there to get there for the 8:30 ceremony. And I was like, man, I don't know if my daughter's ever going to remember that I was there. Okay, the funny part is, by the end of the evening, she thanked me for being there. And then Scotty Mac in our conversation was like, yeah, I remember my dad was never there for anything. And that was the moment where I was like, and the cat's in the cradle and the silver spoon, which we were joking around about you, like, but then the real version really hit me in the face. I was like, Scotty was like, yeah, he made it to just one of my tennis matches. It was my last one in high school. And I was like, Scotty never forgot. Oh, dude, okay, let's make sure.
It's meaningful.
Yeah. It really does matter.
It really matters. Being there for your children really matters. And I think most people know that. But even down to little details where work takes you away and you don't make it to soccer games or baseball games or whatever. And is one detrimental? No. But if you consistently miss, they notice and it sticks with them forever. It never leaves.
So we have a new intern. We have Jack.
Big Jack from Sanford University.
So Jack, who was a freshman, and he was telling me before we got on the air, and I mean, I haven't gotten into it. I haven't gotten him on my couch yet, but it's like...
Soon.
So when Dad went to go buy cigarettes and then disappeared, was that like a motivating factor that helped you eventually land an internship at Dickey Broadcasting? So you don't know what might be that origin story that really takes you to that next level.
That's exactly right. And Jack has called some baseball games down at Sanford.
Impressive.
I mean,
Jack, I was never good at play-by-play, so that's pretty impressive that you're going down that road. That's and I'll say this: for as long as I've worked in radio, if you ever told me, all right, what is something you could do that would make you like really concerned and really afraid? It'd be play-by-play.
Oh my God.
Color,
so
different. You're just commenting.
Yeah.
Play-by-play. Oh.
Yeah. Ben Ingram.
Too much.
Is so good at what he does, and he makes it sound so easy. It's kind of, Jack and I was actually talking about this earlier, our intern Jack, about podcasts, right? And just the fact that there's 2 billion podcasts or whatever the number is, and most of them last 3 episodes, because of the preparation it takes, because of the work that
people find out.
Yeah, pretty
quickly that, whoa.
Yeah, this is not an easy task.
I thought this was going to be 20 minutes of content. It's 3 minutes.
We can all do this. Everybody can do a podcast.
Everybody's going to want to hear me talk.
Yeah, right. And then you say your thing, and then, okay, well, you said that. Now what next? And there is just work that goes into it. The reason I bring that up is because much like play-by-play, the preparation that you have to just submerge yourself in to be able to do what Ben Ingram does. Everybody's like, I can do that. And then here you go. Here's the microphone. Have at it.
Or you can make the choice. You can hit the ejection button. You can do what myself and Tug and Jerry and I have talked about. You just go for cigarettes and you never come back.
That's right. Be like, hey, y'all.
I'll be right back.
I'll be right back.
I'm going to the store.
You need anything?
In this case, we really should update that. He went out for Zen and he never came back.
That's what's going to happen to Jeray.
That's actually how it plays. Like some future child of Jeray's is going to be like, Dad went out for Zen, and then we didn't see him for like 2 years. I'm like, well, listen, he went on a journey of self-discovery.
That's right.
All right? Like sometimes it's what you do.
And hopefully he found himself.
That was another thing that I enjoyed. So I did listen, as we kind of bounce around to some fun stuff. So I did listen to the Joe Rogan podcast because he had on Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, so I've been seeing clips of it.
So I listened to probably about the first like 90 minutes. I'll catch the other part. But one of the things they talked about was how many Zens people put in, and like that's how many they have. And so they were talking about like, oh yeah, he's got the 6 milligrams, and he'll put 4 in his mouth all at once. And they were just lining out all their friends and how many Zens they put in at one time.
Yeah, remember I told you about that.
Yeah, that you decided to pack it up like you were a moving van.
Seriously, man.
Can I have another?
I had some brown liquor.
And then the kids offered.
And they did, and I'd never even heard of it to this point. We had rented a cabin. This is 3 or 4 years ago now. Rented a cabin up in Blue Ridge, Georgia, which is beautiful, northeast Georgia. And all 5 families that have been hanging out together since our kids were 8, and they're still best buds today. Matter of fact, they've hung out every night this week and will all the way through Memorial Day weekend. So they're that close. We go there, and for some reason they like to have Uncle Tug have some brown liquor. They encourage it. They push it.
They just know he's going to start making bets and giving us money.
I'm telling you, and saying funny things and playing music loud. And
start doing weird dances.
Oh, yes.
Look at me, I'm dancing. I'm dancing over here.
What do you think?
What do you think?
And then I think it was Charlie. Charlie says, hey, Mr. Tug, you ever had a Zen?
I like that they call you Mr. Tug.
They do. And still to this day. I was like, I don't know what a Zen is. What is a Zen? It's just like a nicotine pouch. Like it's smoking without smoking. And I was like, I've never even heard of that. And they're like, well, you just tuck it in your lip almost like a dip, like like a bandit. You remember the Skull Bandits?
Imagine how sweet you were. It's like, oh, I'd never even heard of that.
Yeah.
You got a good amount of brown liquor. Yeah. Tug gets even nicer and sweeter.
And more country, for sure. And so they're like, well, here, tuck one in. And I did. And almost instantaneously, I was like, oh.
You went to Mars?
Dude, I'm telling you, when you've never had a Zen and you poke one in, I mean, it was like energy. I felt like I could run a marathon or do some hurdles or something.
That's what I fear, that it would just go straight to my head, and then I'm like, I don't know where I am for the next hour.
Well, wait till you tuck in 9 of them.
I'm telling you, I saw a friend of mine. It actually got to the point where he got sick, and this is like before a volleyball tournament. He actually got sick before the opening match, and I was like, what happened to him? He's like, too much Zen. I was like, okay.
That's so great.
I was like, dude, like, what's the matter with you? Too much Zen.
And if you don't know about Zen, you're listening right now, and you're like, I've kind of heard about it, I don't really know what it is.
Don't get involved in it.
Don't. Leave it alone.
Or do.
It's the devil's pouch.
This weekend, Memorial Day weekend.
It's the devil's backpack. That's what it is.
I mean, I tried for the first time. Last time we played golf, I had a friend of mine who was like, hey, you want to try some of this nicotine gum? I was like,
yes.
Okay. And sure enough,
yes, I do.
I'm like 30 seconds in. I'm like, is it strange I can't feel my hands? Is that odd?
It'll come back. I swear it comes back.
They're like, don't worry, everything will come back to you. I'm like, okay. I just don't really feel my fingertips right now.
Still be tingly when it comes back, but it's coming back, dude. I'm telling you. I'm easily seductive. Like when somebody says, you want to try this new liquor drink? Yes, I do.
Yeah, sure.
You want to try? Yes, as a matter of fact, I do.
Why don't you jump off this bridge? Okay.
Might as well try it.
He is a middle school boy at heart.
That's right. And the more brown water you add, the more adventurous I get.
Let's go steal from the convenience store. Okay.
Now, I'm not saying when I got to the convenience store I wouldn't come to my senses. But I'd walk over there with you.
Went along at the time.
I'd walk over there with you.
No wonder. Think about that, Jerry. There's Cousin Curtis and there's Tug, and they're on the same trajectory. But at some point, something happened that pulled Tug in I don't say the right direction, but in a different direction. And so Curtis has lived a life of colorful crime, whereas Tug has decided, I'm going to be, at the very least, a regional sensation where people know him all across the Southeast.
Wow, about that. But we did grow up doing the same stuff. I mean,
like, that's
identical.
nature nurture, isn't it, Jerry?
That's got to be the United States Navy. That's got to be what kept you on the straight and
Well,
narrow.
that and the good Lord. I mean, he
Curtis probably went to church with you
and still does.
Well, there you go.
And then we'll steal some tires later. I'm just saying.
See,
his heart's in the right place.
They both had the good Lord, but Tug had the Navy. That's the only reason why he won't steal your rims.
That's right, because Curtis will. Curtis will.
And start pulling some tires off some Navy vehicles or some other equipment.
Dude,
you're gonna be in trouble.
One time, I swear, I know you're going to think I'm lying. He stole the wheels off a police car. And, of course, got caught. I'm like, what are you doing, dude? What are you doing?
I think it's just the challenge. Wasn't it just the challenge?
That boy ain't right.
Dude, he will steal things and then put them on Facebook Marketplace. And people will recognize their wheels on Facebook Marketplace.
Those look like mine. I got them stolen 2 nights ago.
And he'd be like, I don't know. I don't know where they came from. They fell off a truck. You know, I've heard him say that before. It's been years, but I heard that they fell off a truck.
Well, that's quite a start to a Thursday for us.
It's the truth.
This is you know what? And this is the other part. So did Jack join us yesterday?
Yes.
This is day 2.
Yeah.
So I was not in. I was at the home studio yesterday, so I was not around for this part. So he was told at some point, listen, the show, it's some political talk. Yeah. Who knows what they'll get into? And he's now going to go home and be like, so they started with Zen and stealing car rims and drug use and my parents leaving, my dad leaving to go buy cigarettes.
And he was like, I don't even know what that story's about. My dad's right here.
I don't even know where to begin with this.
Seriously, these people clowns. These people are crazy.
These people clowns.
They're crazy.
What's the matter with them?
On this morning show, talking at 6:18 in the morning about all these things. Who talks about this early? I mean,
we do on a 6 o'clock and then in the 9 o'clock hour on a Friday.
You can never tell.
That's typically how it works.
You just never know what you're going to get. The Democrats, they keep getting bad news. That's what they keep getting. And I can't help. It's almost like when we talk about Cousin Curtis, I smile a little bit because I don't mind. I see him and I love him. And when they get bad news, I'm okay with that too. Trump's polling continues to be very, very good, and Newsweek points it out, I'm sure reluctantly. Delivering on every promise, which no politician's ever done. I guess he's not a politician. It's part of the reason why. But this is because it continues to trend in the right direction, and he continues to rack up wins for you and I, doing what we voted for. I mean, this is the golden age of America, man. We are on the right track to be that shining city on the hill.
Well, the psych op as of 3 weeks ago was, look at the plummeting numbers. And then you have even the most recent polling, which I think it was, I'm trying to remember which is the one that I saw that was this week, middle of this week, Tuesday or Wednesday. And he was 55-44. He was a plus 11, which, I was just told 3 weeks ago the numbers are plummeting. And even what it's done, it's given him political capital to do the things he wants to do. What he pulled off yesterday by taking the president of South Africa
to the woodshed,
sitting him in the Oval Office and going, oh, really? You think that your government isn't talking about killing people in your country? Well, how about this? And there's another thing, too. Genocide, for some reason, the left, because first off, I guess the word is just too foreign to them, or it's something they don't want to acknowledge. Genocide doesn't mean 1 million people. Genocide doesn't mean 1,000 people. Genocide is any group that you pick out, whether it's religious, whether it's political, whether it's by ethnic background, whatever it is. When you target a group to eliminate all of them, that is a genocide. That's a definition of what's going on there.
And it's funny, Scott Jennings on CNN last night, he said, okay, you say it's not genocide. He was like, well, what number is acceptable?
What is the number that has to be hit in order for you to go, oh, maybe that's bad news, maybe that's a genocide?
And they couldn't answer the question because What's an acceptable number of people in a group to murder? Answer that question for me, and I'll wait.
I still remember like when we had the last like monstrous genocide. Now, this was in Rwanda back like in the late 90s when you had two ethnic groups that were just murdering each other. And they would just put them in the river. And so you would just see rivers of people. Like, okay, why were they doing that to one another? Because they were trying to commit genocide. They were trying to get rid of the other group. Yet they looked the same. They were both Africans. Mm-hmm. But one group had one set of beliefs, one had the other. The only reason this is garnering any sort of attention, it's because Donald Trump, in this crazy political climate of who can be here and who can't, decided, how about less than 100 farmers, you and your families, y'all can come here because you're facing real political issues from a country, from a government that is advocating to kill you all.
A Marxist government.
In the same way we should probably doing with like the Uyghurs. We'd be like, hey, we need to get, I mean, we're not going to venture into China and go and ruin their sovereignty. But if some got away, we'd be like, come on in.
Absolutely, we would. And we should. Goodness, what an absolute, it's just insulting when the mainstream media, unfounded. Oh, and what happened last night, I saw a clip this morning of every news outlet, all the mainstream outlets, CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, you know them, all of them. They had them in boxes, and there was about 15 different boxes. And guess what? They led with a new word, ambushed. They all started every broadcast.
Oh, yeah.
President Trump ambushed the South African president. Every one of them had their marching order, their talking point, and went with it.
Oh, no, he decided to actually give him, you're going to have to explain what's going on here because here's the hard information we have.
Dude, when you go in that Oval Office, you better be ready. You better be ready because he is going to call you out or give you praise and ain't afraid to do either one. He made Zelensky, they got in their car, he made them leave early for the South African president when people are being murdered because of their skin color in huge numbers. He turns around the TV and makes them watch it in front of the world and then waits on their response. You better be ready when you walk into that Oval Office. When we continue on Extra 106.3, the lesson of Jose Barco, and a chance to take some notes and learn from Professor Los. Next on Extra 106.3.
Neil Bortz is only live on Extra 106.3, bringing you daily commentary on the biggest topics of the day. Catch him throughout the day or hear his latest on the Extra 106.3 app.
Hey, Atlanta, it's Front Office Los. Let's talk about True Prep. Now, every now and again, somebody will ask me the question, how did you get involved in this whole prepper thing? Well, it's not a prepper thing. What this thing is about being prepared for anything that might happen. Yesterday, we're talking about huge storms that rolled across through South Georgia, North Georgia, knocked out power all over the city. Well, that is one of the reasons why I just try and make sure that if something like that happens and it's prolonged, that I'm ready. True Prep can help you as well. What is more awesome than having one of the best stores in the country in your backyard to get this process going? You know what that means? You can ask questions. You can start off by saying, hey, what if this scenario happened? What would I need? And that's when the group over at True Prep can help you out. Water filtration, that is always going to be a huge factor. But also freeze-dried food. That is a big one that I have. Most of that stuff you can store for 25 years. Right now, it just sits in my basement. You never know. And since I've been through some crazy stuff, I make sure to have that ready. Also, when it comes to personal security, we're talking about some of the best prices when it comes to arms and ammunition that you're going to find. Again, we just had the Glock deal that they just had going off. Those flew off the shelves. Again, couldn't beat that deal. That is the sort of stuff True Prep does. Also, a lot of weekend seminars. You can always sign up for one. A lot of them are home safety. A lot of them are gun safety. Some of them are also intro to prepping. Again, a lot of good stuff out there. What do you do from here? Go to Cobb Parkway in Marietta, right on over to True Prep. Or you can go online as well. You're always welcome to go to trueprep.com. That's TRUprep.com. Prepare today for a worry-free tomorrow with True Prep.
Want the truth about shopping for new floors? Big box stores might have flooring departments, but Empire today has flooring experts. There's a huge difference. At a big box store, you might be getting help from someone who's in flooring today, but was stocking toilets yesterday. With Empire, you'll work with a dedicated flooring expert. We bring the store to your home, help find the right floors for your lifestyle, and answer questions. All while you view hundreds of samples with your own furniture, decor, and lighting. You'll get an all-inclusive price estimate and can schedule installation as soon as the next day for in-stock styles. That's Empire's Home Floor Advantage, working with experts who specialize in one thing: flooring. For a limited time, use code RADIO to get $500 off your contract of $3,500 or more when you call or visit EmpireToday.com. That's $500 off with code RADIO. You know the number.
800-588-2300 Today.
Offer may not be applied to sales or combined with other coupons, discounts, or savings. Terms apply.
Millions of guys suffer from erectile dysfunction. That's 1 in 3 men. And I can tell you, I'm one of them.
If you or someone you know suffers from ED, Peyronie's disease, or PE, here's 38-year emergency room doctor and founder of Total Body Therapy of Georgia, Dr. Eric Deal.
Patients who enter my office are often frustrated, hopeless, depressed, and embarrassed. I understand the problem, and I'm going to help you fix it. We provide testosterone replacement therapy, the P shot, and treatment for ED, PE, and Peyronie's disease. There's not just one therapy that can solve these complex issues. When you visit our clinic, you're going to see me. I'll do a complete history and physical prior to any treatment that we use. Take it from me, Dr. Deal. When it's not hard, it's really hard.
Call Dr. Deal for your free one-on-one evaluation and resolve your ED, Peyronie's, or PE issues. 404-777-1911. Total Body Therapy of Georgia. 404-777-1911. Online at tbtofga.com.
Hey, this is Matt from East Cobb. So ATL Turf Co. did an amazing job with our backyard transformation. They basically created a miniature golf hole. We have a miniature fairway. We also have a miniature little putting green. Consists of about 4 holes. After that transformation, my father-in-law came and saw his house the way it looked. Sure enough, he did the same thing with ATL Turf Co. He has a beautiful backyard, wonderful stonework, drainage, and a beautiful practice area for chipping and putting. Check him out online at atlturfco.com.
Military veterans are eager to transfer their skills and experiences to civilian life, but lack trusted connections to expedite their path to success. That is, until they meet the Warrior Alliance. The Warrior Alliance goes the extra mile to reach veterans in their communities so they do not have to take this journey alone. With over 40 partners across 10 service areas, your donation goes a long way toward achieving maximum impact for a veteran and their family. Go to thewarrioralliance.org to donate today and commit to helping the Warrior Alliance change thousands of lives for the better.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Here are your Georgia headlines for Thursday, May 22nd. Bond has been granted for 19-year-old Jimena Arias Cristobal, the college student who was arrested in Dalton and detained by ICE. She will have an immigration hearing, but no date has been scheduled yet. Her father was also released last week. Days after BioLab announced it will not reopen its manufacturing plant in Conyers, a town hall was held for victims of the explosion and fire last September. Residents are seeking to file a class action lawsuit later this year for punitive damages. And the Army Corps of Engineers has announced the closing of many parks and campgrounds around the state, citing staffing concerns. 20 campgrounds at Lake Lanier and 2 areas of Lake Allatoona are among those closures. Today's weather, mostly sunny today with windy conditions this afternoon. High temperatures will be in the low 80s. With your headlines, I'm Jerry Payne.
Have you got your pen? I told you, get your pen, get your scratch paper. If you're not ready, I'm not going to tolerate this. You need to be ready for story time.
Settle in and get comfortable, folks. It's story time with Uncle Los.
Thank you, Jeray. Thank you, Tug. Thank you, America.
America.
As this segment is brought to you by your company name right here. Right here. This is prime real estate for your weekly. Right here. We'll talk about it. All right? Make a phone call. Call in up here and say, I really need to get a piece of story time.
That's right. And we'll take your calls at 404-741-1230 and we'll direct you to the right people.
That's right. Or you could just pay Jerry and Jerry will be like, hey, sweet, made a few bucks off of that one.
Seriously.
Jerry just starts like, he's like, hey man,
new
I need to say this company name for this one.
Yeah. Be like, do they advertise?
They Venmo'd me $20. It'd be really funny. So typically during story time, we go through a lot of history stuff. But instead, I want to tell you the story this is really about the illusion of what's going on. Now, we already have talked quite a bit about Joe Biden and dementia and the cancer diagnosis and all the ways you were lied to. And that's now been kind of like the MO of that administration and that group. But the news media lies to you on a regular basis. And one of the things, and this is centered on Newsweek. Newsweek has been covering this story of Jose Barco. You would say, oh, Jose Barco. What do I know about this Jose Barco? A guy from Colorado. And now, in Newsweek, they will tell you, and in fact, they spent 31 paragraphs telling the story of Jose Barco. Now, Jose Barco is a 39-year-old former member of the military, 2 tours in Iraq when he was younger. Also has a Purple Heart. He was wounded in action. Basically had an explosive device and reportedly gave him a traumatic brain injury. So this is a man who went to war for this country. Now, I say this country because his family is from Venezuela. They had brought him here when he was 4 years old. Now, they did so illegally, but went through our whole school system, joined the military, applied for citizenship, and things continued to get delayed. Well, what now the news media will tell you, Newsweek will tell you, is that Jose Barco is going to be deported. And now it's the clutch the pearls moment. We are actually deporting someone who fought for us in the war in Iraq. 2 times he went overseas to do this, got a Purple Heart, suffered an injury. We're sending this man. Now, that's meant to grab at the heartstrings, right? I mean, you would say that's a terrible scenario.
On the surface.
And it's always surface related. And here's the problem. We have to dig into these things because it's very easy to point this stuff out. In fact, one of the people that was pointing this out yesterday on X had a video of Jose Barco. This is making its way on TikTok. It's showing him like he's out in the desert, like he is out there in Iraq, and he's just doing what military guys do, having a cigar. He's all decked out in his camo, all of his gear, and he's just saying, he's just saying hey to the camera. And it says, this is Jose Barco, a 39-year-old Iraq Army veteran that was awarded the Purple Heart during combat in Iraq. He's lived in this country almost all of his life. He was detained by ICE and is now awaiting deportation to Venezuela. He served this country, and now he's being kicked out. That's supposed to get you like, ooh, okay, got me. All right, there's a portion of this story that they have not told you. And what is the portion of that story? Well, part of the problem is that Jose Barco has been in prison for about 15 years. Jose Barco came back to the States, injury or not, ended up at a house party back in April of 2008, and Jose Barco was kicked out. Now, would you say, was he being unruly? Was he causing problems? Jose Barco pulled out a gun and shot it in the ceiling. And they're like, dude, you got to go. Like, this is what happened from here. Well, that was not the end of the evening for Jose Barco. And here's the story, and this is from Colorado Springs. As he was then driving again past the house party, Barco pulled out a handgun and shot into a crowd of teenagers standing on a porch. A bullet struck 19-year-old Jenny Clemens, who was pregnant. It left her with a serious leg injury. So here's the wildness about the Newsweek story. They spent, and similar to Storytime, telling you all this stuff about Jose Barco and all of his service to the country. And yes, he's here, and now he's being sent out of the country. What it doesn't tell you until paragraph 17 is what put him in prison, which was initially supposed to be for 52 years. The judge gave him 52 years for shooting indiscriminately into a crowd of people. He was charged with attempted murder, and the charges ended up being reduced. He got 15 years. He served his 15 years. So now what is happening with Jose Barco? Jose Barco is now awaiting deportation because this is somebody who was here legally, did serve in the military, was attempting to get citizenship, and then ran into a little bit of an issue.
And then blew it.
This is why. These are the parts of the story they never want to tell you.
Well, they can't.
They can't tell you about that.
Because that brings a different perspective. They can't tell you the truth about someone because it will change the way you feel about the story, and they don't want that. They're trying to build a narrative. You can't build a narrative, Los, if you give all the details.
And what's weird is that initially they were going to send him to Venezuela. And Venezuelan authorities are like, we don't want him. He was facing 50 years in the United States for the same reason that we keep saying we got to send these people back because they emptied out their prisons and their psych wards and they sent them to us. And we're like, they're criminals here. We got to send them back. Venezuela's like, You can't send your criminals to us either.
We don't want them. Don't want them. It's interesting, too, and this is away from the story, but has the same kind of implications. In Denver, crime rates fallen 60% since ICE began extensive deportation efforts in the city and surrounding areas.
Wait a minute. They got rid of criminal element gangs and suddenly the crime went down? How weird. I was told in 2020 to defund the police that was the key to all of this. What a psyop that was.
But it worked.
In order
for a long time.
In order to make people go like, well, maybe that would be better for our communities. No, they wanted it to be more dangerous.
And then exactly what they're doing in this. It's the same game. It's the same game plan, right? Get people worked up about something and then do something that is not in their best interest. But all the while saying that it is, just like defund the police.
And to tell this story about Jose Barco applied for citizenship while he was in the military in 06-07 and probably was on track to get it. And then this happened.
Yeah, attempted murder is going to hold up.
You think attempted murder might say you're not supposed to be here, and so here's what's going to happen. I again, thank you for your service to this country, but you also shot a woman, and fortunately, that was all that happened. You could have killed multitudes of people.
Yeah, a drive-by shooting. Yeah.
That's why he was given 52 years in prison.
And I would frame it this way. If you had somebody moving in next door to your house, and they're like, hi, I'm Jose. Was convicted of attempted murder. Are you going to be like, oh, Jose, great, nice to meet you, welcome to the neighborhood? Or are you going to be apprehensive? If you own a business, dude applies to for the job you're advertising. You learn that he has been convicted of attempted murder. Are you going to have pause before you hire this man? Or are you just going to be like, nope, it's good, let's go?
And to give credit to Jose Barco, the reason why he's out after 15 years, it's because he was a model prisoner. Like, he went about his business. He actually was teaching classes in school or in prison. So it wasn't like he wasn't trying to help other people. But the law is still the law, and the crime is still the crime.
And if you don't like them, change the laws.
If you don't like it, don't shoot into a crowd of teenagers.
Well, that part of it too. But I'm just saying, on the side of everyday Americans, if you don't like the law, then advocate for them to be changed.
But they will always start. And Newsweek tried, man. Newsweek tried. They gave you a huge story, long story on this. But I'm telling you, they're always looking for these stories. And they've thought they've had a handful around the country. That's why Maryland Man was such a flop. So now it's on to, well, what about a military member? What about Jose Barco? And they didn't want to tell you about the 15 years in prison.
But because that was such a flop, Maryland Man, that makes every story that comes out, it makes everyday Americans go, what else is there? Because you've been lied to, right? Anytime you're lied to, you're going to be less likely to believe it immediately. You're like, what more is there to the story? Just like there was so much more to Maryland Man. And there's so much more to this story. That's I think, what the Democrats don't understand. When they lie to you consecutively, over and over and over again, eventually you go, well, let me dig a little more. Let me get to the bottom of this before I make a decision on this.
Now, had Jose Barco ended up getting his citizenship, then this is a story of a man who probably had a bad moment, spent his 15 years in, and now he gets to spend the rest of his life doing his thing as an American citizen. But because of the circumstances by which all of this timed out, these are the laws.
But don't you think, a lot of criminals acted in a moment of
rage,
whatever it is, and might not have done it otherwise, but they did. They still had to serve the time. And if you're here illegally and you do that, that's just an added layer of things that are going to happen.
I think if we're being very honest with this situation, and we got a victory out of the Supreme Court yesterday that basically had the lower courts are not able to have these national injunctions the way they're doing. 8-1 was the vote.
And that basically was all the Venezuelans that had come here under temporary protective status. Now Trump can pull that.
Exactly. And say they're going, because lower courts were trying to get involved in it, and they're like, nope, this is completely within the scope of the president and the administration. They can do this. All right, if you're going to get people out in a large amount, then you can't worry about individual stories. Jose Barco's included. It's, are you here illegally? Yeah. Were you a combat vet? Yeah, all the things. But after spending 15 years in prison, that's how you were not able to get your citizenship. You have to go with everyone else.
I'm going to try to look up, if I can in time. There's a woman down in Florida who overstayed her time here. She was here illegally. She got a court order to leave 20 years ago. She's just said, I'm not leaving. She didn't show up to her court date.
It's like Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah,
I'm not leaving.
I'm not going anywhere. And this woman, the federal government had found her basically and said, okay, we're charging you $500 for every day that you've stayed over. She got here like 2005, so it's been like 20 years.
Wow. Okay.
$1.8 million is what, if I can find the
fine?
But this is the thing. And people are mad because, and her lawyer is saying, well, we didn't know that there was that you had to go to your court date.
You received a court order 20 years ago. It's time to go.
But that's the thing. They're saying, well, she's not done anything wrong. She's been a model citizen. Yes, she has done something wrong.
And she defied a court order.
Here illegally.
Overstay her visa.
Defied a court order. So you can't say you didn't do anything wrong because, yes, you did.
If there's anything that has to happen in the next 4 years, restoring ourselves as a nation of laws is not a terrible thing. In fact, a lot of us yearn for it. It's not like we're looking for systems of like control. Like, oh, I can't wait to actually follow the law. No, we just want to know that when you have a society that respects law and order, that respects the rule of law, it's a more just society. It treats it better. It becomes part of the civil society. When the civil society does not have law and order, it fails. You don't have a civil society at that point.
And I think most Americans, and you can tell it by the polling, when it's gone so far out of order and things are so chaotic with immigration, it's just a reset. You have to reset. You just reset everything. And it doesn't matter about the individual stories. We're going to reset all of this, and then we'll start over from scratch. We'll start from the beginning and then start accepting applications to migrate to the United States. But I think most people want to see a full reset.
Fresh start, everybody.
But that's what it is. And I think that's what the American people want. So what the American people voted for. It's what Donald Trump said he was going to do. And the polling still shows that that's what the American people want. Tug and Los until 10 on the Morning Extra and Extra 106.3. The 6 o'clock hour is brought to you by Subaru of Gwinnett. When we come back, Marco Rubio lights up the left over people who come to America just to cause problems. Next on Extra 106.3.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan, and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
Good morning. Here are your sports headlines for Thursday, May 22nd. The Atlanta Braves were off last night after the game against the Nationals in D.C. was rained out. That game will be made up as part of a doubleheader in September. A.J. Smith-Shawver takes the mound for the Braves tonight. He'll be opposed by Trevor Williams. First pitch is set for 6:45. You can hear that game on our sister station's brand new app, 680 The Fan. A wild night in the association as the Indiana Pacers have taken a 1-0 series lead in the Eastern Conference Finals after a wild comeback in the final 3 minutes by the Pacers to force overtime against the New York Knicks, eventually beating them in overtime 138-135. From the Western Conference Finals, it continues tonight with the Oklahoma City Thunder looking for a 2-0 series lead over the Minnesota Timberwolves. That game will tip off tonight from OKC at 8:30. With your sports headlines, I'm Carlos Medina.
Does this drive you crazy, too? I had to call and make my son a doctor's appointment before he goes off to play summer baseball in North Carolina. Yeah, just got the checklist of things we need to do. To call the doctor's office, I went through 3 prompts of automation. Click 1, press 1. Then you get to the next one, it's press 4. You got to listen to all the privacy. It just drives you crazy. Can somebody just pick up the phone and make the appointment? That's all I want. At Central Heating and Air Conditioning, that's what they do. There's no prompts ever. When you pick up the phone and you call them, it'll be like, hey, this is Mike, Central Heating and Air Conditioning. How can I help you? Or hi, it's Sally, Central Heating and Air Conditioning. How can I help you? You will talk to a real person. Why? Because it's a second-generation, locally owned company, and they know automation drives them crazy, so they know it would drive you crazy and want no part of it. So when you call them, you'll speak with someone. It's the best way to do it. So now let's talk about the benefits of working with Central Heating and Air Conditioning. If you get a maintenance agreement, they'll come out twice a year, tune up the HVAC. We just had them out at our house to do that. They found an issue with our AC and were able to fix it the very next day. Sometimes when you call them as an emergency, they can be out same day. They work overtime to make sure that your life is as comfortable as it can be. And they're donating $10 from every new maintenance agreement to Skyland Trail, a nonprofit leading the way in mental health awareness and wellness here in Atlanta. Expert evidence-based treatment to help people facing mental health challenges find a path to recovery. Just a win-win. Work with Central Heating and Air Conditioning. 770-GET-HEAT, centralheat.com.
It's time to slide into summer at Truist Park as the Red Sox and Diamondbacks face the Braves May 30th through June 5th. And May in the A deals are extended June 3rd through the 5th. That means $10 tickets and parking, $1.99 hot dogs, and $3.99 Miller High Life. Plus, there's 3 gate giveaways perfect for summertime. A kids pool float, Truist Park Stadium replica, and a beach tote bag presented by Visit Sarasota. Head to Braves.com/slide into summer to get your tickets. Atlanta Braves Baseball. We are Braves country.
This is Tom with the Honest Car Guy.
Hey, what's with all this honesty stuff?
We help you buy your next pre-owned car or truck honestly.
How honestly?
We guarantee that each vehicle we sell will come with a bill of sale showing what we paid for the vehicle. You'll pay what we pay, plus an honest fee. Guaranteed.
No gimmicks or tricks?
Nope.
Man, this sounds like a new way to buy a car.
Get an honest car buy from the Honest Car Guy. Call 844-SHOW-ME-1. That's 844-SHOW-ME-1 or visit honestcarguy.com.
There are nut jobs on the road. Who knows where they learn to drive? If one of them hits you, don't take care of it on your own. Call my friend David Van Sant, 855-GA-INJURY. Van Sant Law, one of Georgia's top-rated personal injury lawyers and car accident firms. Time is of the essence. Don't waste any. The longer you wait to get the right lawyer, the longer it takes to get the compensation you deserve. Call Van Sant Law today. The number is 855-GA-INJURY. VanSantLaw.com.
Attention Warriors. Are you a veteran ready to navigate to success after service? Tune in to the Warrior Alliance Network. Join us as we spotlight inspiring stories, provide essential resources, and connect you with a community dedicated to empowering veterans. From career advice to health and wellness tips, the Warrior Alliance Network is your go-to hub for post-service success. Tune in Saturday mornings at 11 a.m. on Xtra 106.3. Join us on the mission, the Warrior Alliance Network, where warriors thrive together. Visit us at thewarrioralliance.org for more information.
The Dean's List with Janice Dean.
A high school science teacher from Tallahassee, Florida, makes the Dean's List for helping first-year college students get a leg up on their first year. Jennifer Castillo is well known on social media for her classroom makeovers, and since 2018, she's been hosting something she came up with called the Annual College Essentials Basket Giveaway. Each year, Jennifer assembles and donates customized laundry baskets filled with all the things you need, like sheets, comforters, toiletries, and school supplies. Jennifer says she knows firsthand how tough it can be to start college without the basics because her own family couldn't afford any of these things. But thanks to generous and kind people in her life, she had things donated, and now she wants to pay it forward. Jennifer says she wants to make sure no one feels they are starting this big milestone in life alone. Becoming a teacher has been a dream come true since she was 7 years old. Janice Dean, Fox News.
Attention Warriors. Are you a veteran ready to navigate to success after service? Tune in to the Warrior Alliance Network. Join us as we spotlight inspiring stories, provide essential resources, and connect you with a community dedicated to empowering veterans. From career advice to health and wellness tips, the Warrior Alliance Network is your go-to hub for post-service success. Tune in Saturday mornings at 11 a.m. on Xtra 106.3. Join us on the mission, the Warrior Alliance Network, where warriors thrive together. Visit us at thewarrioralliance.org for more information.
Tug and Los until 10 on the Morning Xtra on Xtra 106.3. Gosh, so funny. Just talking about end of school, talking about the things that you've probably lived through too. That's the beauty, I think, of the show, is that we're doing the same things you're doing or have done. Like, I'm ahead of Los a little bit when my son's, going into his junior year of college in the fall. And Los has got one going into middle and now high school. just the different places we are in life. He told me that that school ended today, and I was like, I think it does for Fulton County too. But I'm not sure.
Everyone's like Wednesday, Thursday.
But the thing is, I'm not sure. Like used to, I would know that.
Like I talked to a friend of mine, and he's got 2 daughters, and both of them they had half days, like all week long. And he was like, I think we've got like a half day, one more half day. We had full days up until today. Today is the half day for us.
But when I was in your shoes with kids in school, I would know that. And because the changing, I have no idea. So if Cobb is out or already out or getting out, but and Paulding, Cherokee, those schools, 404-741-1230, so we can wish those kids well, because I have no idea.
Let us know. Hit me up on X at Front Office Los. Let me know about school closures, and I will announce school closures tomorrow.
Oh, good.
I'll be like, Paulding County, closed.
That's right.
Woodstock, closed.
Marietta City,
closed. That's what we're going to do.
Nobody's on a 2-hour delay. They all close.
6:05. This is what you're going to get. School closings you're going to be. Is it because of weather?
Nope.
It's because of summer.
Summer, baby. Let's go. School's out for summer. Now, don't you go causing problems at school, though. Because nobody wants that.
No, this is the day to just take it easy, ride it out. You don't want to catch a case on the last day.
That's right.
Then you certainly don't want to take that to your next school and be known as that kid.
That's right. Or that representative, Jaya Powell, the one that always drives you up the wall. And she's talking about, well, you're going to kick people out of the country?
Yes.
They're on a visa.
Ma'am.
They're on a school visa. They're here to learn. And Marco Rubio goes, well, if they're raising Cain and causing us problem, you got to go.
Student was a guest in the United States on a student visa. No one's entitled to a student visa.
So you
we deny
revoked her
visas every
student
day,
visa
and we will revoke and
based
continue
on
to
an
revoke
op-ed,
visas.
which trumps the supreme law of the land, which is the Constitution.
Someone's coming up here to stir up problems on our campus. We're going to revoke their visa.
She didn't do
They're
any of
guests.
that. She wrote an op-ed.
Well,
she
that's
wrote
what
an
she
op-ed,
claimed.
and I'm talking to you about her particular
That's what
case.
claims and your claims. Those are not the facts.
You reclaiming my time. You revoked her student visa because she
proudly.
wrote an op-ed.
We'll do more. We're going to do more. We will revoke the visa of anyone who's in this country as a guest who's here to stir up
going to
trouble.
revoke the visa of somebody who made that?
I mean, the case. I'll look at it.
that
I'm looking
statement?
to get crazy people out of our
Actually,
country.
it's not just about revoking.
Forward
You
to
actually,
revoking the visas
Secretary
of any
Rubio,
lunatics you
excuse
can
me,
identify.
reclaiming my time. If these are legitimate law enforcement agents carrying out proper arrests, why are they hiding their identities?
Because then radical crazies will try to hurt them.
Yeah.
Hey, dude.
Very true.
Proudly. He didn't say, you're revoking student. Proudly. And we're going to continue. If you're here to raise Cain and cause problems, you got to go.
We haven't even gotten a chance to talk about it or touch on it. So you had 2 Israeli diplomats that were shot and killed last night that were targeted as part of a terrorist attack by a 30-year-old man. And when you have Marco Rubio telling Congresswoman Jaya Powell that, hey, if they're public, they'll be targeted because y'all's crazy. Didn't even need 24 hours to show you how crazy they are.
And it does nothing more than reinforce
the rhetoric of what they're doing, of saying these people are violent.
That's exactly right.
This person wrote an op-ed. I will just point out that if I'm a guest in a country, I'm probably not going to write an op-ed that might be criticizing their involvement with another country. Now, you could say, well, that's a violation of freedom of the press. Again, that is given to citizens of the United States. If you're a guest, similar to what I've pointed out before, if you come into my house, Jack, and you decide to get on my couch, we're good. Totally fine. Jack's our new intern, by the way. If you put your feet on my couch and you start rubbing your feet into it, which you will not get this reference, but
F your couch.
If you start saying F my couch, I'm probably going to kick you out. Like, you've overstayed your welcome. You're not allowed to do that. I don't see any difference in if you come into this country to raise hell as a student, just because you're on a student visa, suddenly we're supposed to give you the same rights and privileges of an American citizen.
They cheerleaded those people at Columbia when they were singing From the River to the Sea. And they were saying globalize. And if you remember, AOC was saying it too, globalize the intifada.
Again,
what is that? What do you think that means?
You're advocating for the elimination of the Jewish people. All right? That is what that means. That has never changed. That has always been what it means. Now, I will point out, and this is as simplistic as it gets. The history of the Jewish people is essentially you don't have a home, and wherever you show up, eventually we blame you and we eliminate you. That was the idea. After thousands of years of this, as a nation state, we decided, a number of them decided, all right, let's cut out a piece of land and give it to them so that maybe they have some security. And then even after doing that in the 1940s, we have people on American campuses that are advocating for the elimination of the Jewish people and Israel.
And Jayapal and AOC cheering it on. And then to see AOC, her tweet, nothing justifies murder of innocents. You think? I'm devastated by the killing of these two people. Everything in me wants to believe that she cares, but I'm not convinced of it. She cheerleads this stuff. She promotes this stuff. And then acts like when something like this happened, as terrible as it is, then she's like, well, I had no idea.
Did my rhetoric? I can't believe that anyone was ever inspired.
Why would you take what I was saying and take it that far? Because that's what the chant is.
We're advocating
from the river to the sea. That actually means we want to eliminate someone.
As we're talking about advocating for Hamas, I can't believe that somebody who's off their rocker as an activist would then act on it by showing up and killing 2 diplomats from Israel.
What do you expect? What do you expect? It's infuriating, and the saddest thing that you could ever see to start a Thursday morning. Happened at 9 o'clock last night?
9 o'clock, 10 o'clock last night. By midnight, I'm reading about it going, this is pretty gross.
With all the wins.
But we're not supposed to hold anybody accountable for this stuff.
Of course not. With all the wins Trump is racking up on your behalf, where's the Republican Congress next?
Your favorite Extra shows are streaming live video from the studio on Extra 106.3's YouTube channel. Subscribe to the Extra YouTube channel and get the Morning Extra and the Kimmer Show in live digital video.
Convenience is defined as the state of being able to proceed with something with little effort or difficulty. Well, at RBM of Atlanta, we embody this philosophy. Meet our Mercedes-Benz pickup and delivery service. It gives you back time and money. Does your Mercedes-Benz need service? If so, we'll pick up your vehicle that's requiring service from your home or office and bring it back to our dealership for the required service. With over 100 appointments available every weekday, over 50 appointments on Saturdays, and more than 200 courtesy vehicles in our fleet, we're here to serve. We'll work around your schedule. We're here to save you time, energy, and money. RBM of Atlanta is a J.D. Power 2023 Diamond Dealer of Excellence for the customer sales experience and Georgia's only 9-time Mercedes-Benz Best of the Best winner. We're proud to be Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964. Pickup and delivery service restrictions do apply. Ask your service coordinator or service advisor for details.
Are you the type of consumer that likes to do your research before you choose a company? Well, then you need to join Dan Watkins, Chris Lolamy, and myself, Jim Niarchos, every Saturday morning at 9 for the All Four Seasons Home Show. We only vet local businesses with a proven history of integrity, competence, and solid customer service. The All Four Seasons Home Show helps you make a good consumer decision, save money, and not get ripped off. You can also follow our podcasts on Apple, Google, and Spotify. The All Four Seasons Home Show, Saturday mornings at 9, right here on Extra 106.3.
Everyday life moves fast. Schedules fill up and time slips away. But somehow you always make time for what's important: faith, family, and fun. And for many of us, that includes our four-legged friends. They've been there through it all. The friendly purrs when you walk through the door, the gentle comfort on tough days. That's love. Greetings, Naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black here. And at Meow Greens, we believe your cat deserves the same love in return. That's why we created a blend of the live nutrition that your cat needs. Vitamins, minerals, probiotics, phytonutrients, live enzymes, all designed to help your cat feel, move, and live better. Meow Greens is not a replacement for your cat's food. It's what's missing from your cat's food. It's quick and easy. Just sprinkle Meow Greens on their food and watch them come to life. Healthier, happier, and ready for more time with you. Fetch your free Jumpstart trial bag for your cat right now. Just cover the shipping. Go to meowgreens.com. Use promo code TIME. That's MEOW greens.com. Use promo code TIME.
WFOM and W292EV Marietta, a Dickey Broadcasting Station. This hour is presented by Van Sant Law, vansantlaw.com.
2:15 to 2:14. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That was the margin of the vote moments ago in the House approving the massive budget plan to fund President Trump's agenda.
This one big, beautiful bill is the most consequential legislation that any party has ever passed.
House Speaker Mike Johnson moments ago.
It revives our economy. It will deliver historic tax relief. It will make the largest investment in our border security in a generation.
The bill extends the 2017 tax cuts and includes spending cuts. Republicans say gets rid of waste, fraud, and abuse while putting work requirements on Medicaid. Democrats were united in opposition.
This is one big, ugly bill.
Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffrey said on the House floor cuts to Medicaid and other programs will take away health coverage from millions of Americans, and
Republicans are taking food out of the mouths of children, disabled Americans, veterans, and older Americans.
But that bill again passed moments ago, and Democrats don't have the votes to block it in the Senate, where they'll use a budget process that can't be filibustered, just needing a simple majority. It was an act of anti-Semitic terror. That's what Israel's ambassador to the UN calls last night's shooting outside the Capitol Jewish Museum.
He approached a group of 4 people, produced a handgun, and opened fire, striking both of our decedents.
That's Washington, D.C. Metro Police Chief Pamela Smith. The couple killed were about to get engaged and were both Israeli embassy staffers. This man watched the accused gunman taken into custody.
He grabbed a red kufi out of his pocket and started the Free Palestine chants. You know, there's only one solution, Intifada revolution. And he was being dragged out of the building as he was yelling Free Palestine.
It's day 7 of the manhunt for 5 escaped prisoners still on the run in Louisiana. 2 women are charged with helping the escapees. 5 others who broke out Friday were already captured. America's listening to Fox News.
Heroes like Austin Reese have paid a high price for our freedom. Austin served 3 deployments to Iraq. He spent 13 years with the Navy Explosive Ordnance Disposal Unit and became a military freefall instructor. But in what was thought to be a routine jump, something went terribly wrong. Austin was left paralyzed. Tunnel to Towers built Austin a specially adapted smart home. Help heroes. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. That's T2T.org.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-893-2288. 800-893-2288. 800-893-2288.
Look out, it's only me. It's only the Kimmer. You know, you can download the Kimmer podcast on the Extra 106.3 app, along with a ton of other great shows. Go get it, for crying out loud, now on Apple or Android.
I can just listen to this. I just turn off a microphone and listen to Dire Straits. Mark Knopfler just ripping on a guitar. Goodness gracious. Nice choice this morning on a Thursday. Good morning to you. Thank you for being on the Morning Extra. On Extra 106.3, Tug and Los until 10. Jeray's with us. Intern Jack's around. It is a full house today, Los. Full house. Good folks, just goodness oozing out of your radio. You may need a baby wipe or something.
I hope it's going very quickly for you as it did for us. The 6 o'clock hour was here and then
gone.
Flew away.
Like Buck Bellew. Gone. They have a drop down the hall at our sister station, The Fan.
Boy, if you want some entertainment, I need you to go back and listen to yesterday's show. Because now, keep in mind, the Braves game was supposed to happen.
It was rained out.
It gets rained out, so that becomes scramble mode.
Mm-hmm.
Now you got to get, Buck in to do his show, and, let's just say that things were pretty fun to listen to.
Buck's always fun to listen to, man.
I mean, it was a whole other level of, whoa, that's fun.
I love it. I would love for Buck Bellew to come down here and do a segment with us just once.
Oh, he would. Here's the genius of Buck Bellew. Buck will say something, and then he turns his mic off. So he then, as he turns his mic off, he then starts laughing off mic, and you're trying to keep a straight face. and he pulls back away. Now, with the cameras now in the studio, it's not.
Yeah.
It's more obvious when he does it. But he basically looks to take a conversation, drop a grenade in the middle of it, and then just kind of walk away.
Just see how the ants
just
scatter.
To see how everybody handles it.
He's great. And it's so funny. Should I be telling this story about it? Because it's very innocent.
I don't know. I mean, are you going to get in trouble?
I don't
Is the karma police going to come for you?
No, definitely not. No. And it's nothing bad. Buck Ballou, national championship quarterback at the University of Georgia in 1980. Played with Herschel Walker and just all the greats. And he's been doing sports for years and years. But Buck keeps up with politics.
Yes, he does. Very much so.
Be mistaken. Our coworker down the hall at 680 The Fan, he knows what's going on.
Oh, he stops by and gives us a look on a regular basis.
That's what I'm saying. And so he'll ease by my desk and go, "Hey, Tug."
It's a very cool draw of his. "Hey, Tug."
Yeah. "Did you hear about whatever the subject is? What do you think about whatever the subject is?" It's almost the same way. He'll walk up, drop the grenade, and get you all fired up, and then he'll say what he's going to say really succinctly and really quick because he don't want politics to be the thing that he's known for. He doesn't talk politics out loud, but he's definitely got an opinion.
Oh, he's paying attention.
Yes, he is. Love that dude. God, he's a great coworker. This is the Morning Xtra on Xtra 106.3. Buck used to rack up W's at the University of Georgia. Donald Trump racking up W's for the United States of America, giving you what you voted for. Maybe the first time in history, certainly the first time in my adult life, that I've seen a politician campaign on something and then, if damned if he don't do it. He said, "This is what you voted for me for. This is what I'm going to give you."
You mean get after it at warp speed in the first 100 days,
That's exactly
110
right.
days?
Make people's heads spin, delivering exactly what he said he was going to do. Because he's not a politician. That's the thing. And please don't be mistaken. I don't worship at the altar of Trump. I'm just telling you what I see.
There is a difference going on. I think this is worth pointing out. So Rasmussen polling. Remember, Rasmussen was the one poll that told us all during the summer, he's winning. He's going to win all 7 swing states. Here's what our data says. Meanwhile, you had other polls that were like, Kamala Harris is going to win Iowa. Okay, we found out who was correct here.
Right.
Rasmussen polling had a warning. Said, basically pointed out to the Republicans, we started doing our polling, you better get after it. Because here's what's happening. Donald Trump right now he's more popular than he's ever been.
That's right.
In term 1 or term 2.
And with a wide swath of people.
It is huge. The numbers will basically tell you there's only 2 areas right now where the Democrats hold a significant advantage. 65 plus black women, 65 plus white women. Now, also
college-educated
white women, 24 to 54, but it's not like a monstrous number.
But those are quite similar as far as who is liking or doesn't like Donald Trump.
But because as in comparison, you can take the same age group, married women, and they're much more in the Trump camp.
Oh, without a doubt.
Whereas 65 plus women, like across the board, married or not, it's like, okay, no, they're all for the Democrats.
And I don't want Republicans, and I haven't called myself a Republican in a long time, I don't want Republicans to believe that those voters like them because they do not.
And that's the point. The point from Rasmussen is showing you that there is a large amount of questioning and dislike for the Republican Congress. That you have Americans. Now, would they hold their nose and vote for their congressman who's Republican? Probably.
Got my hand up in the air.
I'm right there as well. But the polling continues to show that the do-nothing Congress is actually viewed as, why don't y'all get on the Trump train? That's what the numbers are pointing out. Donald Trump is so popular right now that if you're not delivering him legislation for him to sign, people get frustrated. Now, I know the big, beautiful bill, that's going to be a problem. And I remember, if you were listening to this radio program 2 or 3 days ago, I told you how this was going to play out, and it's playing out right in front of us. There are parts of that bill we all like. There are parts of it we love that we're talking about tax cuts and tax certainty, and here's what it's going to look like the next 10 years. But I told you to get there, you're going to have to hold your nose because so much of the Doge cuts are going back in this thing. And that's what's happening. And it's upsetting to people. It's upsetting that, wait a minute, you said you were going to cut spending. Why is this all back in? Because that's the horse trading that goes on in D.C. It sucks. But if you want Donald Trump to have this victory, then you're going to have to accept that you're going to have to take the crap end of it as well. As much as we want to be like, clean bill, and I want one as much as anybody, that is not what gets people reelected. And no one ever complains, whatever district, when your congressman brings you back, hey, guess what? We just added another lane of highway over here, paid for by the federal government. Makes it easier for you to get to work. You're no longer being in traffic for an hour. You're going to be in traffic for 30 minutes. That's what wins elections.
It is. It is.
And it sucks, but that's the pork barrel spending.
It totally does. But maybe, just maybe, if you give Donald Trump the victory here and he continues to be as popular as he is, which I expect, next time around he can drill down. And then as you move forward, like you don't get it all in the first bite. You have to negotiate, you have to wheel and deal, just like you do in everyday life and everything you do. Can he then continue this progress that we're seeing and get to that point where we can get a clean bill?
Listen, I like when Chip Roy tells me it's pretty clean. I like this. Like, okay.
Yeah, Chip he's a good barometer.
As a congressman out of Texas, Chip Roy is a pretty good indicator of where are we at. I mean, one of the guys, it's one of the leads of the Freedom Caucus. Here's what the numbers are. You know, Thomas Massey, for as much as Donald Trump has disparaged him, Thomas Massey has told it like it is when it comes to
that guy.
Here's the amount of spending and I don't care for it. Now, yes, does he fundraise off of that? Yeah, absolutely. As any congressman would. You get your name in the paper, then you fundraise off of that. That's just part of the game. But what I'm pointing out is that the popularity of Donald Trump is not shared by the Republican Congress. They look at them as being two different entities.
And they are.
And they are.
And they absolutely are. Because I still don't like the Republican Party. I still don't call myself a Republican for that exact reason. They never do anything. They never accomplish goals. They never support the right things. They are the do-nothing Republicans. That's why they have that nickname. Because that's all they ever do is nothing. And they'll continue to do that. And they'll continue to campaign off the back of Donald Trump. They'll continue to use Donald Trump's popularity to get themselves reelected. But when the rubber meets the road, if it doesn't help them, if they're not able to entrench themselves and enrich themselves in Washington, D.C., they'll fall out like Glass Joe in the video game.
Well, this is the opposite side of the pancake. You know, I love talking about here's one end of it and here's the exact opposite end of it. We talked about why don't the Democrats get on board with any of this? Because they can claim a victory.
Dude, exactly.
They would be able to say, look what I did for your taxes. Look at the cuts that we made within the middle class. Here's the income level. Here's the percentage that we're saving you. That's a victory that you should be able to talk about. But again, the reason why you're doing budget reconciliation, so you don't have to include the Democrats at all. But, like I said, the opposite end of the pancake is this. Once this thing passes and Donald Trump signs it, every single one of those congressmen are going to be able to say, listen, I'm one of the biggest backers of Trump because he wanted it and I helped deliver it for him.
That's exactly right.
Now, you did it by, all right, here's more spending. You're going to get that extra lane of highway. You're going to get that new city park. You know that school where you're like, my schools are overcrowded? That funding came from the federal government. You're going to get that new school in your home county. Like these are the things that happen, and it sucks, but this is part of the game.
Well, but I think people could swallow that. It's when you're doing some sort of DEI program in Uganda. That's the ones that people are like, what the?
Oh, there are NGOs that are helpful to Republicans.
Yes, there are,
and you will find money that filters their way over there. This is the
and
game. But what Donald Trump wants, and I know we're saying, hey, what about just this one time? And then the next time, this is what he'll do. That power is seductive when you're winning in the way that they are.
Yeah.
And I believe that he wants to be able to check off the list. These were the three biggest campaign promises I made you. What are you talking about? Securing the border.
Yep.
Boom. Tax certainty. I was able to get that done. No taxes on tips. Got that done. No taxes on overtime. Like all these
those are huge.
He's going to be able to claim political victory within his first 150 days in office if all of this goes down. Now it's on to, all right, so what else are we going to do?
And
he wants those victories.
I do believe that it becomes more of an international issue after he gets those specific. I'm not saying he's going to abandon domestic.
But he'll talk about, look what we accomplished around the world in the interest of peace.
And that's going to give him more political power, even abroad, because with negotiating Russia-Ukraine at the Vatican, including the Pope, nobody else could do that. Who else even attempted to do it?
I would liken this to your truck. All right? You got that
buddy, I love my
big
old
truck. Or even Jerry, the Mustang. All right?
Yeah. You baby.
Find out what Jack drives, just so I happen to know that as well. Jack, what are you driving?
Jeep Grand Cherokee.
Okay. Listen how little he sounds, too. Sweet young man. All right. So let's just say you have your fuel in your vehicle. Now, your truck, Tug, you blow through it pretty quick.
Let me tell you.
That Mustang, the way that Jerry drives it, you blow through it pretty quick.
Premium, too.
That's right. Man, he takes care of that vehicle.
I'm guessing a Jeep Grand Cherokee drank some gas, too.
Well, but I mean, put it this way. Mom and dad probably are handling a portion of it. Is that true? Like mom and dad helping out with some of the stuff?
They still pay for the gas.
That is true.
Okay, so see?
True statement.
So he's living on government assistance, all right? So he's not quite as concerned. And again, hypothetically, you're not in government assistance. But hypothetically, this is how this works for the story. So this is about the fact that when it comes to that Mustang and it comes to that truck, you have a certain amount of gas, you have a certain amount of political capital. And right now, Donald Trump is filling up that tank real high. Right now it's spilling out over. It's like, I topped it off a little bit too much. But what's going to happen as you move forward, that tank's going to get closer and closer to E. And so at that point, it's harder to accomplish things. So he's basically trying to get done even something that's large. Let's face it. For conservatives, spending more money is not popular with us. It isn't. It's just how it is. It is not exciting.
Well, but it's because we all keep that budget like you're talking about.
And so
we know what we have and what we can spend.
So that tank might go to 3/4 or it might go to half a tank after we're done with this thing. Now we're going to have to see what goes on with the economy and the economic development. And if this bill helps spur some economic growth because of tax certainty, which I believe will happen immediately with tax certainty, then you're going to have people getting on board with a little bit of spending. I do get it. You do have to spend money to make money, but you don't need to spend frivolously, and that's what we're always looking out for. That's why I want to see what kind of spending there is in this bill.
And similar to that, what Donald Trump's doing up in the Northeast, in the New England states, is there's a pipeline they're trying to build that is going to bring affordable natural gas to that whole area. New York has been the tripping point. Kathy Hochul says no. The environmentalists say no. So Donald Trump's doing some horse trading right now.
Yes.
He's allowing something that he doesn't even agree with and he thinks is a waste of time, and I do too, but I see what he's doing, and it kind of goes along with what Los is saying. He's allowing this wind farm off the coast of Long Island to go forward, even though he doesn't agree with it, and he knows the energy it'll produce is little and expensive. But Kathy Hochul says, if you do that, you can build the natural gas. You can build that pipeline that is going to give cheap energy to almost the entirety of the Northeast. He's horse trading. He doesn't want anything to do with that wind farm because it's bull crap.
I wish we could strong arm everyone.
But right, and he can in this one.
You don't have the margins to do it.
He doesn't have the ability in New York to get by without that governor's help. So he's horse trading. And what that's going to do ultimately is those people are going to be happy they got their bullcrap wind farm. But the people that will really be affected are going to be happy with Donald Trump because he got cheap natural gas up the Atlantic coast when that's the biggest place that is struggling right now with natural gas and the ability to have it because they don't have access to it.
Like there are people that have made their career in D.C. off the basis of they get to say yes a lot to everybody. And everyone knows who those people are.
They're the yes dudes.
As much as there's people that also say no a lot. Like, again, I appreciate Chip Roy.
Thomas Massey.
Because they say no a lot. They are the adults in the room. They are the mom who says, yeah, we're not spending on that this month. Like, good for you. But in order to accomplish what he's trying to accomplish in the first 120-some days, this is where the Republican Party, when it comes to Congress, is under fire from the Republican voters. They're like, get after it. Do something.
Do something.
Put something on that man's desk.
We'll see how they react and respond. Something just tells me they will fall in line because they know people look at them as useless. I think they realize what we've been saying. People voted for Donald Trump, not Republicans.
No, and the polling continues to be so strong for him. It's like now this will change. This might be 2-3 years down the road. It will change. But as of now, the worst thing you can do is be seen as going against what Trump wants in the first 150 days.
The South African president said he can fix what ails his country, fix those problems in South Africa. It'll just take one thing from Donald Trump. Next on Extra 106.3 Tug and Los until 10.
Promises made, promises kept. The president is making the economy great again. He's securing the border for America's safety, and the mainstream media still wants to tear him down.
The media wants Donald Trump to fail. That's their goal. That's how they'll report his progress.
But we know the truth, and we give you the perspective that other stations won't. Atlanta's only conservative voice is Extra 106.3 FM and the Extra app.
Good morning, Atlanta. It's your best friend, Los. And you know who else wants to be your friend, if not is already one of your good friends? Howard Brothers. All right, Howard Brothers has been taking care of the community for decades. And as you've probably noticed, look outside. Bright sunshine. We already got some rain this week. It's probably go time on your lawn, okay? Like we started about 3 weeks ago. That thing was not going to hold off any longer. We started the whole mowing process and getting everything going. So whether you're a homeowner just like me or you're a lawn care professional, you're a pro, you know that you've got to go over to Howard Brothers. And what are you looking for this time around? Exmark. They got the zero-turn mowers. Exmark mowers have top cutting quality, efficiency, and provide comfort for long jobs, meaning you can rely on Exmark for this season and beyond. And that's very important as you're looking to get as many lawns done for those lawn care professionals, or it's a homeowner. You want to make sure that equipment goes for multitudes of seasons. That's what you can do with Exmark and with Howard Brothers. Head on into Howard Brothers. The team is ready to help you find that best zero-turn mower, that Exmark, for your needs. Howard Brothers, serving you since 1955.
Want the truth about shopping for new floors? Big box stores might have flooring departments, but Empire today has flooring experts. There's a huge difference. At a big box store, you might be getting help from someone who's in flooring today, but was stocking toilets yesterday. With Empire, you'll work with a dedicated flooring expert. We bring the store to your home, help find the right floors for your lifestyle, and answer questions. All while you view hundreds of samples with your own furniture, decor, and lighting. You'll get an all-inclusive price estimate and can schedule installation as soon as the next day for in-stock styles. That's Empire's home floor advantage, working with experts who specialize in one thing: flooring. For a limited time, use code RADIO to get $500 off your contract of $3,500 or more when you call or visit EmpireToday.com. That's $500 off with code RADIO. You know the number. 800-588-2300 Today. Offer may not be applied to sales or combined with other coupons, discounts, or savings. Terms apply.
Join A Second Chance Bail Bond CEO Daniel Madelon and host Tug Coward for the weekly radio show Back Your Blue. They will highlight special initiatives, criminal justice programs, and community events aimed at keeping our communities safer. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to learn some good news about and from the law enforcement and justice communities. This week's guest is Tyrone Spears of the Jardine Spears Autism Foundation. Tune in on Saturdays or catch up on all past episodes wherever you get your podcasts or at thepodcastpark.com.
No one plans on going to jail, but when it happens, it's important that you know who to call. Call A Second Chance Bail Bonds, where we believe everyone deserves a second chance. Whether your loved one's been arrested in Cherokee, Clayton, or any of the other metro Atlanta counties in between, A Second Chance Bail Bonds works fast to help expedite release within hours. A Second Chance. It's better to know us and not need us than need us and not know us. Call A Second Chance 24/7 at 404-BAIL-OUT or online at atlbail.com.
The warm air, the beautiful weather, and the sounds of baseball. It's got you thinking about hitting the road. And no matter where your adventures take you, Subaru of Gwinnett has a vehicle to get you there safely and in style. Like the 2025 Subaru Outback, which will take you as far as you want to explore with standard symmetrical all-wheel drive plus up to 32 miles per gallon. And if you're up for adventure, it'll get you off the beaten path with up to 9.5 inches of ground clearance. more than the Honda CR-V or Toyota RAV4 or the 2025 Subaru Forester, the SUV for all you love. It's the right-sized SUV for all the adventures ahead with a spacious and comfortable interior for everyone you want to bring along. And no matter where adventure takes you, it starts on Satellite Boulevard in Duluth with the amazing staff at Subaru of Gwinnett. They'll help you find the Subaru that you'll love and be there every step of the way for everything you need. Start your shopping online at SubaruofGwinnett.com.
The stories
Here are
that
your
matter
Georgia
to you.
headlines for
These are
Thursday,
your
May
Georgia
22nd.
headlines.
Bond has been granted for 19-year-old Jimena Arias Cristobal, the college student who was arrested in Dalton and detained by ICE. She will have an immigration hearing, but no date has been scheduled yet. Her father was also released last week. Days after BioLab announced it will not reopen its manufacturing plant in Conyers, a town hall was held for victims of the explosion and fire last September. Residents are seeking to file a class action lawsuit later this year for punitive damages. And the Army Corps of Engineers has announced the closing of many parks and campgrounds around the state, citing staffing concerns. 20 campgrounds at Lake Lanier and 2 areas of Lake Allatoona are among those closures. Today's weather, mostly sunny today with windy conditions this afternoon. High temperatures will be in the low 80s. With your headlines, I'm Jerry Payne.
The scene yesterday at the White House was that's pretty impressive, if I do say so myself. 7 o'clock hours brought to you by Van Sant Law Group. If you're in an accident, make the right call. VanSantLaw.com. You better be prepared if you're going to sit down with Donald Trump in the Oval Office. Bukele, the president of El Salvador, was a great visit. They had great discussions. Remember, before that, it was Vladimir Zelensky. Zelensky and his boys packed up and went home early because Donald Trump made them feel foolish because they were. They didn't even stay for lunch.
They didn't have the cards.
They didn't have the cards.
You don't have the cards.
That's right. They didn't have anything.
It only took about another, 45 days before it was like, you were right. I was wrong. You're the prettiest. I'm ugly.
Going back to Billy Madison. There's a lot of Billy Madison's references.
You're really smart, and I'm just not.
Yeah, that's right. And when he's talking to Chubbs. Such a great scene.
So about that minerals deal. We'll take that deal now.
That's exactly right. And fast forward to the point where they're going to have this meeting between Putin and Ukrainian President Zelensky at the Vatican. And we talked about this a little bit yesterday and how important the location is. I would struggle to think I wouldn't negotiate a little more with earnest intentions if I weren't at a church or in the Vatican.
Well, I want to point this out because there was something we left out when we talked about this a couple of days ago. When it comes to the Russians, they're very Orthodox Christian.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, now, are they Catholic? Well, not like by and large, but there's a healthy respect there for what the Vatican is.
Yeah.
So if you ever thought about putting two men who one's country invaded the other, and the other one's been getting weapons from the West and launching them into the other guy's backyard, maybe the one place you know that you're pretty certain everyone will act right might be the Vatican.
Yeah, that's right.
Smart play.
Absolutely, it is. That's the negotiating strength that Donald Trump has, and I think the ability to think through really difficult situations. How do I put this in the best place to succeed? And the Vatican is the choice. But back to the Oval Office. When you go in there, you better be ready to have a serious discussion. And yesterday, the president of South Africa, I don't think he was ready for that discussion.
And I think the term I would put was, that was gangsta.
So yes, it was.
Like, that was a moment of, I know you're sitting in my office, and I know we have television cameras, and I know everyone's in here, and this seems like a normal meeting, but I'm going to call you on your BS.
Right, and he had, obviously they had the videos queued. They knew where they were going with this. They had planned this out. They had thought about it. What do they say in the military and the Navy specifically is prior planning prevents piss poor performance. So that was it
was a strong performance.
It was. Well, but that's what I'm saying. Being prepared, and they had the videos ready to go. They certainly were prepared. The South African president, on the other hand, came out saying, no, there's a So genocide, nobody's taking anybody's land. There's not killings.
But let's point that out, too. That was the factor of Donald Trump asking about the genocide of farmers in South Africa, most notably white farmers. And it'll never end with white farmers. It'll just continue until it just grows into, because everything starts with, well, we'll just start with these people. And then it spreads. It will eventually be the white population of South Africa. I mean, as Donald Trump pointed out in the office, they and the Australians have been taking in these people seeking political asylum because their government has been, at portions of their government, like not just, well, there's some people that are saying this, like people in their congressional halls are talking about the genocide of white farmers.
It's very obvious what's happening. And for the people pushing back saying, well, it's not genocide, what's the number? Scott Jennings said this on CNN. What's the number that you're comfortable with of murders of white farmers?
Is it a political group that is being targeted by their government?
Yes.
Have they? Okay. So that's yes. One. That's the idea of asylum. You have been targeted as a group by your government. All right. Have you had people murdered? Yes. And why were they murdered? Because they were white farmers. They were looking to take their land. All right, you have a faction of people. As much as we might look at farmers and go, whoa, what's the big deal? What if I told you it was, oh, hey, they're getting rid of Jewish settlers? You'd say, well, that's genocide. If I told you they're looking to get rid of Haitians by killing them all, you'd say, well, that's genocide. If I told you, well, they're all the Amish, you would call that a genocide. It's the same concept.
Yes, of course
they're just targeting a political group for the total annihilation and destruction.
President Ramaphosa squirmed while saying, no, this stuff isn't happening. Trump spins around the TVs, makes him watch his own political, counterparts in South Africa say all the things that he was denying. And then he was like, well, there's something that we could probably work on together that would remedy some of these problems. And it only comes down to one thing, Donald Trump.
Our main real reason for being here is to foster trade and investment so that we are able to grow our economy with your support, and so that we are also able to address all these societal problems, because criminality thrives when people are unemployed, when they have no other hope to eke out a living. So that is what we need to resolve.
So if you give us money, then we probably won't have this problem anymore. That's what I took from that.
So I do have a connection to this. I've got friends of mine that I grew up with that were South African.
Our new neighbors are South African.
And when you start to hear about what has gone on in that country, now, yes, we'll always be able to say, wow, apartheid was a blight on that entire country. Like, that was a gross time period.
So gross.
Once the government started being handed back to the original Africans there, things started to take a turn for the more violent. And that's what people won't discuss. People won't bring it up. It's gotten decidedly more violent and more desperate there.
Another thing they won't bring up, because he's beloved, Nelson Mandela was a Marxist. That's what he was.
Yes. You now have a racial Marxism that's happening there.
This is what DEI is. If you could snapshot DEI and put it in action and let it rule a country, you'll see what happens in South Africa. If we were to, it would be years off. It would take for a long time for DEI to get the hold of the United States the way the left wanted it, the way the Democrats wanted it to. You're seeing it in action in South Africa. That's what Marxism is,
yes,
which promotes DEI. Those work together.
Like, if I call it racial Marxism, does that not hit it a little differently than Marxism or DEI? Like, DEI is a part where we just go, like, DEI is dumb, and so we're getting it out of our federal government, and we're seeing it leave the schools, but it exists in large part in different places around the world, and South Africa is one of them. And again, we can say, like, there'll be people that'll say, well, these people shouldn't be ruling that place, and I'd definitely agree with you. But it's not because of like some sort of, it's not because of their background, it's because their ideology. Their political ideology always leads to desperate people in desperate times, and in a lot of cases, very hungry people. That's the nature of communism.
and it will continue that way. But if you watched the mainstream outlets last night, there would be a need for context. I mentioned Scott Jennings on CNN specifically because he talked about, well, what is it? What's the number that's acceptable for you of murdering of these farmers? That then you would say, okay, there's a problem. But that's where they are. He's the only one saying this. It was ambush. Every network said, oh, he was ambushed. President Trump ambushed the South African president. That was the narrative. That was the talking point. And then they went on to say, we need context here. We need some context.
This is why CNN has zero chance. As it's presently constructed with its current atmosphere, it has no chance of survival. It has no chance of success because there are so many rules that are involved on the left. There's things that you're not allowed to say. You even have a problem making connotations. Like one of the things that I bring up, it's one of my favorite terms, used it for 25 years, the money whip. Now, how the money whip works is this. If I say, hey, Jerry, I need you to sign this 4-year deal. And Jerry's like, I'm not signing a 4-year deal. I'm like, well, how about I give you another 10% off what you're making? He's like, no. Well, how about we make it 20%? No. How about we make it 40%? Like there's a number in which the money whip eventually you just go, okay, you beat me into it. I'll take the deal.
I can't turn this down. It's too lucrative.
It's too lucrative. That's how the money whip works. But you will have the people on the left that will be like, well, what do you mean by whip? You're making a reference to slave periods. And you're like, oh my God, are you kidding?
Well, dude, just because you just sold a home, remember, what was it, last year before, when realtors were pulling back on master bedroom?
Which, by the way, all of them do have a big laugh over that. It's like, remember when they tried to make us stop saying master bedroom because it had some sort of connotation, sort of racism?
That's to the point.
So I point that out to also point out that when you also say things on the left, clearly, if I was to go out and I'm part of the protected political class on the left and I said, kill Whitey, CNN is going to roll up and be like, he doesn't actually mean to kill Whitey. What he means is that if you go back 200 years, sometimes the most horrible people, they would refer to them as Whitey. But he's not referring to everyone in total.
Definitely not.
I want you to take a listen. So this is CNN, as we've just had the kill the white farmer, kill the boar. This person jumps on CNN and he explains that even though you heard them say this, and this is what they're talking about.
That's not what he means.
That's not what they mean.
What the videos show is Julius Malema, the far left opposition leader of South Africa. His party is called the Economic Freedom Fighters. And it also showed former President Jacob Zuma. What Julius Malema was singing, Kill the Boer, Kill the Farmer, was an anti-apartheid song from the struggle against white minority rule in South Africa. They've explained that this is not a literal call to attack and kill the farmer because of the historical nature of that. But it's been weaponized by groups in South Africa and increasingly by the MAGA right in the United States to essentially misrepresent what is going on in the country, Brianna.
So let me get that straight. It's only MAGA portions of America that have actually taken literally what they've said. And then when you look at the data, the amount of farmers killed over the last, I think it's 5 years there, 89% of them are white.
So kill Whitey doesn't mean kill Whitey.
That's what he's trying to tell you.
That's exactly what he's saying.
I know we're saying kill Whitey, but that's not what we mean.
It's not how you say it. You have to put the right emphasis on the right syllable.
So think about jumping from one foot to the next.
That's what he was doing.
I can't say money whip because whip has a racial connotation to it back from the slavery days, which I would never consider. I'm just like, it's a money whip. I'm just going to
here's how it works.
I'm just going to keep telling you I'm going to keep enriching the number until you say okay. Tell me how that is some sort of slavery connotation. I'm going to keep paying you until you say yes. Kind of goes the opposite of slavery. But with that being said, now you got to jump to the other foot, which is when they tell you things directly, they're trying to say they don't mean it.
Don't listen. That's not what it means.
You don't understand.
I know what he said, but that's not. It's out of context.
I know what's happening. I know that 2 different countries are bringing in people in order to save them from political persecution, but it's not because they're going to be threatened to be killed.
Dude, that's spitting on you and telling you it's raining and expecting you to believe it.
And CNN, that's the idea? That's the goal?
Yes, for them. It's how do we delegitimize what is being done and the reporting on it so we don't have to report on something that we don't want to. And they've been clear they do not want to report on this.
And by the way, we're talking about letting in less than 100 people.
And isn't this...
Versus 15 million that came through
when
here
they just
4 years.
let the door open. Isn't this, though, Jake Tapper? Isn't this what happened with Jake Tapper? And everybody during the Biden administration? No, don't believe your eyes and ears. No, he doesn't have dementia.
I know he's saying kill Whitey.
Just fine.
Doesn't mean kill Whitey.
What? He's got a stutter. What? How can you be so horrible and make fun of that man's stutter? Kill Whitey doesn't mean kill White.
It's not what you think it means.
No. Oh my gosh, it's a replay of what they did with President Biden.
I know that if we were to use the left's rules, so when Tug says, "Man, I can't wait to get into this brown stuff," what he means is I can't wait to go to church. He's not talking about brown liquor.
No.
He says, it means I can't wait to go to church.
That's right.
You have a wrong connotation of that.
Brown water means go to church.
That's right. That's what he means.
I'm guilty because I do love that brown water.
That means he loves church.
Right.
It's not what you think it means.
So anytime you think that I'm talking about going out and raising Cain and having too much to drink, what I'm saying is...
He means he's going to church.
They call it spirits for a reason.
Yes,
That's right.
They do. Exactly right. So there you go.
Write that down, Jack. Write that down.
Make a note. We'll quiz you on it tomorrow. Or at least at the end. Morning Extra on Extra 106.3 when we continue. Up next, story time. Leopards never change their spots. And you and me, we ain't gonna change either. Next on Extra 106.3.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan, and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
Good morning. Here are your sports headlines for Thursday, May 22nd. The Atlanta Braves were off last night after the game against the Nationals in D.C. was rained out. That game will be made up as part of a doubleheader in September. A.J. Smith-Shawver takes the mound for the Braves tonight. He'll be opposed by Trevor Williams. First pitch is set for 6:45. You can hear that game on our sister station's brand new app, 680 The Fan. A wild night in the association as the Indiana Pacers have taken a 1-0 series lead in the Eastern Conference Finals after a wild comeback in the final 3 minutes by the Pacers to force overtime against the New York Knicks, eventually beating them in overtime 138-135. From the Western Conference Finals, it continues tonight with the Oklahoma City Thunder looking for a 2-0 series lead over the Minnesota Timberwolves. That game will tip off tonight from OKC at 8:30. With your sports headlines, I'm Carlos Medina.
Hey, it's a Kimmer talking about Stovall.
Yeah, I just wanted to brag on Stovall. I went up there and actually got a quote on some of their material up there, and he gave me the quotes I wanted, but he said what would work best, they don't carry, and referred me to one of their competitors. That's how good they are. And sure enough, he was right. The material he was talking about that they don't carry, it's actually going to work best for me. So I've got that on the way. It all worked out well. Makes me want to go back and buy something from them now.
Folks, when it comes to landscaping supplies, start at Stovall. 11 locations around Atlanta. Online at StovallInc.com.
You need a pre-owned car or truck, but you don't need the headache of searching for one. Spending hours calling dealerships, then spending half the day filling out paperwork.
Come on.
You need the Honest Car Guy.
Hey, this is Tom from the Honest Car Guy. We help you buy your next pre-owned car or truck honestly. We guarantee you each vehicle we sell will come with a copy of the bill of sale, showing what we paid for it. You pay what we pay, plus an honest fee. Guaranteed.
Get an honest car buy from the Honest Car Guy. Call 844-SHOW-ME-1. That's 844-SHOW-ME-1, or visit honestcarguy.com.
Hey, this is Matt from East Cobb. We basically bought our house from our in-laws. It was my wife's childhood home. One of the issues that we've had when we first moved in was our dog in our backyard. It was extremely shaded, could never grow grass back there. We resodded it twice. So ATL Turf Co. did an amazing job with our backyard transformation. They basically created a miniature golf hole. We have a miniature fairway. We also have a miniature little putting green. Consists of about 4 holes, total about 40 yards, so you can definitely work on your short game and your putting. After that transformation that ATL Turf Co. did for us, my father-in-law came and saw his house the way it looked after the fact of we had a putting green and a miniature golf course. Sure enough, he did the same thing with ATL Turf Co. He has a beautiful backyard, wonderful stonework, drainage, and a beautiful practice area for chipping and putting. Check them out online at atlturfgo.com.
Advisory services offered through Master Plan Retirement Consultants, Inc., a registered investment advisory in the state of Georgia. Insurance, tax, and commodity services offered through Fricks & Associates, Inc., DBA Master Plan Retirement Consultants. The aforementioned are affiliated companies.
Retirement means different things to different people. Some folks want to travel the world. Some folks want to spend more time with grandkids. For me, I'm looking forward to spending more time with my guitar. Whether extravagant and robust or simple and cozy, every retirement needs a plan. You wouldn't take a trip without directions. You have to know where you are before you know where you're going. Master Plan Retirement Consultants have helped many like you plan for their own retirement. Not only does Master Plan help you create the roadmap, they join you on the journey. So whether you want to travel the world, become a pickleball champ, or just looking for a good porch, a sturdy rocking chair, and an acoustic guitar, remember to plan well because the destination is worth it. Visit masterplanretired.com to schedule your complimentary consultation today.
Hi, I'm Chris Lalamia, owner of the Trusted Toolbox. Are home repairs piling up? Are you feeling overwhelmed? Relax. We've got you covered. From drywall dings and leaky faucets to deck repairs and trim replacement, we're your one-stop shop for everything for your home needs. No more juggling multiple contractors. Just call us at the Trusted Toolbox and we'll handle it. Your home deserves the best, and we don't want you breaking your back trying. Call the Trusted Toolbox today at 770-623-3097 or visit us at thetrustedtoolbox.com. The Trusted Toolbox, your one-stop shop for home repairs and more.
Tell me one single policy idea the Democrats have come up with since they got wiped out in this last election. Nothing. Nada.
Catch Neil's commentary every day on Extra 106.3 and the Xtra app.
Tug and Los until 10 on Extra 106.3. Here's the thing. When you listen to the show, make sure you have a notepad. If you're like a Presbyterian like I am, we go to Perimeter in Johns Creek. I'm not great at note-taking, but the people around me, Presbyterians, take some notes. I mean, they know what the sermon was about. They've got their notepad with them all the time. And I sit in the same place, so I see the same people around me at church every Sunday. And let me tell you, they make better notes than I've ever taken in my whole life. They make Carlos Medina-type notes, where things, you can go back and review it, and you know exactly what was said.
I was always a good note taker.
Yeah, and that's why story time is your opportunity to break out the pen, break out the piece of paper, and take some notes. In that way, you commit it to memory. I told my son this his whole life. If you write it down, it becomes real. If you type it in your phone, you might remember it. If you write it down, it becomes real, and you can remember it. Get your pen and paper out now.
Settle in and get comfortable, folks. It's story time with Uncle Los.
Oh, yes, twice in 1 week, which is it's very stressful. I've been in the back room. I've been in the laboratory with a pen and a pad. I've been carving this one out of wood diligently for you, America.
Mark.
So thank you to Jerry, thank you to Tug, and thank you to Sweet Clean Jack, the soon-to-be ex-journalism major. We're going to work on that.
We're going to change his major for him.
We're going to fix that for him. We're going to fix you, Jack. You're going to find out. So one of the things that we had heard from early on in January of 2021 was the adults are back in charge. Donald Trump, that man was a child. He's a grown man child. He's a clown. We now have the adults in charge. Well, what we're finding out as we dig further into this, and one of the key people in this is going to be Ed Martin. Remember, the person that was not going to end up being, as far as the DA in D.C. He had enough people, Tom Tilson, to speak of him, like, not happening. Well, that's fine. They just gave him a different, higher job in the Justice Department. And what is the thing that Ed Martin has jumped into, along with James Comer and a handful of other people as well? That auto pen. How did a man who had a cancer diagnosis, has dementia, how did he run the federal government during this time period? And what we're finding out is he didn't. All right? Like the names that have been circulating around: Ron Klain, Anita Dunn, Bob Bauer, Steve Rischetti. These are names that have been around, that people have brought up, that these were the ones that were calling the shots.
These are the board of directors.
The board of directors, as Tug referred to them yesterday, and how he's been reading them. These were the board of directors. These are the people that were really running things. Now, we go back to Speaker Johnson, the story that he had about liquid natural gas, and how Joe Biden just signed an order to stop the LNGs out of the state of Louisiana. Mike Johnson went over to him and was like, Mr. President, why did you do this? Now people are going to have to buy it from Russia. That's going to strengthen Vladimir Putin. And as he told the story, Joe Biden had no idea. In fact, he said the only thing he had signed was that it was supposed to be a study of LNGs, of liquid natural gas. It's like, that's not what you signed.
No, that's right.
So there were people that were putting this stuff on AutoPen. And so I bring that up to say this. If you were a committed Marxist, if you were all about this is what we're going to accomplish, we finally have the power. And you know what? I don't have to worry about being voted out. I don't have to worry about losing an election. I don't have to worry about fundraising. This is the Marxist dream as far as implementing policy. Well, if you were a Marxist, and if you were about the destruction of this country and redoing it as you see fit, well, what would you do? Like, for instance, probably the very first thing I would do is I would reduce the immigration enforcement from Donald Trump. That'd be the first thing. I got to flood this country. I need as many people as possible. And then what would I do? Well, if I'm going to flood the country with as many people as possible, I've also got to make it advantageous for me, because it won't be advantageous for my country. It will not be advantageous for any of these communities. My constituents aren't going to like it. Like, the city of New York didn't care for it. Martha's Vineyard certainly didn't care for it.
National Guard to get them out.
I mean, the mayor of Chicago still speaks ill of the state of Texas for sending their illegals to Chicago. It's like, that was a criminal act. Can't believe you sent them here. But what would I do? Well, I've already signed paperwork to make sure and reduce some of the enforcement of immigration laws, immigration policy. The next thing I would do is I would say, let me make sure that every new illegal is counted as part of the census. That's what I would do if I was a committed Marxist. That would be right there. There's something else I would do as well. I know that DEI is cultural Marxism. It's a threat. I would institute it across the whole federal government. Like, I would do it as quickly as I could. Get everybody used to this cultural group rot think if I was a committed Marxist. What else I would do? I would make sure that everyone was dependent on me. And so how would I do that? I would cancel oil and gas development. Like, as quickly as possible. I'd be like, how do I do this? Let's make sure we get rid of energy so that prices spike, supplies now cost more, everything costs more, and now you're looking to the federal government for help. And probably the last thing I would do, I would use COVID and I would start enhancing my powers. I'd call for mask wearing in every airport. I would start calling on OSHA to let's start implementing this stuff so we can get vaccines. I would start pushing all of this stuff. Now, why do I point out those 5 things that I would do? Because every one of them was an executive order on January 20th, 2021, the very first day of the new administration. Auto-penned all, every one of them. We don't even have proof that you have Joe Biden signing one of these. Not one of them.
The only one that we've seen
that we know is his signature,
is
or at least
son.
it's different.
It is his son.
And so when you have these stories of Joe Biden going, what do you mean? Like, I don't know anything about signing that. It's like, well, Mr. President, here it is. Here's what happened. On day one, the Anita Dunns of the world, the Ron Klains of the world, the Steve Ricettis, I mean, these are committed Marxists. This is what they did. They would follow it up by mandatory masks in airports. They would also follow this up with as well. Elevating climate change as essential element of foreign policy. That was done on January 27th. So they waited a week. Waited 1 week to go, all right, what else can we get going here? And so by the time it ends, and this is where I say the adults in the room, and they were never the adults in the room. By the time it's over with, when it came to pardons, presidential pardons, Bill Clinton signed 459. Okay, decent number. George Bush, 200. Barack Obama, 1,927. Now you might say, well, that's egregious. 1,927.
Just wait.
Donald Trump signed 237. Wow, Obama must have known a lot of people that he owed, or that he knew a lot of criminals. Not like Joe Biden. 8,064 in total, including that almost a 2,500 on the final day.
The final day of his presidency.
Auto-pen. So when you look at the entirety of that presidency, he started on day one. The group, the board of directors, the committed Marxists, who I told you if I was a committed Marxist, here's 5 things that I would do. They did them all day one. Day one. That's what they did. And what did they do on the final day? Signed nearly 2,500 pardons so that their criminality would be covered on the way out as much as they did it on the way in.
That's the adults.
That was the adults in the room. That is what the committed Marxists would do. And that's what they did.
And let me tell you, the mainstream media cheerleaded it on. They talked about how great that Biden was and was going to be. We got rid of the mean tweets because that's childish.
Think about it. On January 21st, 2021, I bet you we can find a story where the media is cheering on like, it's finally time that these people come out of the shadows, that they're counted as part of the census. Yeah, they should absolutely be part of it. What you didn't know is 10,000 a day were going to be flowing in. And they were just be like, come on in. They were treating it like Six Flags. Let's go. Everybody through. Come on. We got funnel cakes to sell.
They knew how to manipulate. That way they had unbridled control in the House. Because the more people you have, the more representatives you have, the better your opportunity to vote for your adult legislation and get it passed.
That was just, if I was a committed communist, that's what I would do on day one. That's exactly what they did. And what would I do on the way out? I'd cover myself. And that's what they did too.
Including his family. That he said, no, I would never pardon my family. No. What did he do? Exactly what he said he wouldn't do. He pardoned his family. The adults were never back in the room. Now, I would actually argue now the adults are back in the room. They may not say it the way you want it to be delivered. It may not be with the kindest. Maybe it's a rough edge, but they're telling you the truth. Sometimes the truth hurts. When we continue on Extra 106.3, pardons for sale. Since we're talking about pardons, they were set for sale like beer at a Braves game. Get your pardon, ice cold pardons. Next on Extra 106.3.
It's time for the Bortz Report, exclusively on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Extra 106.3.
If you've listened to me for any amount of time, you'll know that I am not a fan of so-called public schools. First of all, they're government schools, completely owned and operated by the government. Call them what they are, folks. Let's start a trend. Oh, some of you know that I really studied the origin of government schools in this country, and I'll remind you of a few facts. Government schools came around in the very early 1900s. Why? Because we were going from an agricultural economy to an industrial economy. Industry needed employees who could read. Industry needed workers who could read instructions, directions, what have you. So here come the schools. But the politicians and business leaders wanted to make sure that the workers didn't become too educated. They could then pose a threat to their bosses and to politicians. So I could get into details, and I will, but not right now. A deliberate attempt was made to be careful not to educate the children too much. Keep them somewhat dumbed down. Now, how successful have they been? I found some statistics from the state of Illinois. That's where Chicago is. Big deal. And these statistics pointed out that not one student could read at the appropriate grade level. The most expensive government school in Chicago was called the Douglas Academy High School. 44 students, $56,000 a year. Not one single student could read at grade level. Somewhat cheaper, if you will, the Clay City Junior High School, $13,000 a year. Not one single student could read at grade level. City of Chicago School District 299, $52,000 a year was the school spending per student. Not one of the 84 students tested could read at grade level, not one. And Democrats are pedaling as fast as they can to save these government schools. Why? Well, without people that can't read, where are Democrats going to get votes? Neil Bortz, Extra 106.3.
Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Extra 106.3 FM.
This is House Call for Health. Today is the start of the Memorial Day weekend getaway. AAA predicting more than 45 million people will travel starting today through Monday, and that can mean added stress because of crowded roads. So how can you manage that? California Casualty is an insurance company with a few tips on how to reduce stress while driving. First, plan ahead. Be aware of alternate routes and traffic closures. And if you have kids, bring some games and snacks so they don't add more stress. Leave early to give yourself extra time to deal with the unexpected, like traffic or weather. Turn off your phone. It can be a major distraction. Adjust your posture while driving. That can increase oxygen flow as well as lessen tension in the neck and shoulders, reducing physical discomfort. And don't forget breathing exercises. Inhaling through your nose and into your belly is a proven way to reduce stress, with deep breathing calming the brain. For more health news, go to foxnewshealth.com. House Call for Health. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News.
WFOM and W292 EV Marietta, a Dickey Broadcasting Station. The 8 a.m. hour is brought to you by Central Heating and Air.
House Republicans did it. Barely. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
On this vote, the yeas are 215, the nays are 214.
Approving about an hour ago what they call one big, beautiful bill to fund President Trump's agenda, sending the bill to the Senate where Democrats can't filibuster or block it. And House Speaker Mike Johnson says the goal is to approve it there
by Independence Day on July 4th, and we are going to celebrate a new golden age in America.
Fox's Aisha Hosni reports from the Capitol. This is a big part of the bill.
It makes permanent those Trump 2017 tax cuts. That means that your taxes will not be going up next year. No taxes on tips. That's in there. No taxes on overtime. That's in there as well. Border security, more funding to hire more and more ICE agents to continue President Trump's deportation policies.
2 Republicans joined all the Democrats voting no, and another GOP lawmaker voted present, which isn't a yes or a no. Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries says spending cuts in the bill and a new work requirement for Medicaid means
what we're likely to see is at least 13.7 million people are going to lose their health care.
And many more, he claims, will no longer get food assistance. In Washington, D.C. last night. That's the accused gunman in a deadly shooting outside the Capitol Jewish Museum. In a video Shine with Israel posted on Instagram capturing when he was being taken into custody by police. The 2 people killed were Israeli embassy staffers. Israel's calling it anti-Semitic terror. Here's Ambassador to the U.S., Yael Leiter.
The young man purchased a ring this week with the intention of proposing to his girlfriend next week in Jerusalem. They were a beautiful couple.
The manhunt continues for a 7th day in Louisiana for 5 escaped prisoners still on the run. 5 others who broke out last Friday have already been captured. America's listening to Fox News.
Heroes like Austin Reese have paid a high price for our freedom. Austin served 3 deployments to Iraq. He spent 13 years with the Navy Explosive Ordnance Disposal Unit and became a military freefall instructor. But in what was thought to be a routine jump, something went terribly wrong. Austin was left paralyzed. Tunnel to Towers built Austin a specially adapted smart home. Help heroes. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. That's T2T.org.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-893-2288. 800-893-2288. 800-893-2288.
No need for traffic updates. We always steer you right. It's the Morning Xtra on 106.3.
You may have heard it in the Fox News update. Tug and Los until 10 on the Morning Xtra on Extra 106.3. The House has passed Trump's one big, beautiful bill. No tax on tips or overtime. $178 billion for deportations and the wall. Tax relief for seniors. The 2017 tax cuts that were so important for spurring the economy and the success of the Trump administration and the Trump economy in 2017 have now been made perfect here on the House side, or permanent rather than perfect too, I guess. But
I want to see now. That's what I'm curious about is how long do these tax cuts? Because remember we talked about it with Congressman Buddy Carter, who's going to be running for state senator here, at a state of Georgia. he was interested in making them permanent, but at the same time, he said there's not an appetite for making them permanent. So the projection was 10 years, that we would have tax certainty with the tax cuts for another 10 years before it's a battle again. But I'd like to see. I want to start digging into this bill a little bit more.
Yeah, that's on the surface. That's what is being stated right now. So we'll get down, see if we can't drill down and figure that out for you. But that's a good step in the right direction. And again, Trump at breakneck speed doing things.
And we talked about how when you look at the polling data, and Rasmussen had it, I think we were talking about in the 7 o'clock hour, Donald Trump's popularity does not extend to the Republicans in Congress as of now.
It shouldn't.
And so really the mentality is get on board with this train, start sending this man the legislation that he wants to sign into law. You know, so many of these things, when we talked about codifying, you want to codify DOJ cuts. Now, part of this bill is going to be that some of the stuff that you were like, okay, that's gone. It's probably back in. It's the nature of what goes on in politics. Sucks, but that's what's going to happen. But a lot of these things you want to see, the things that he's doing by executive order, are they covered in the bill to make them now law?
I don't have any issue with Thomas Massey saying no. I don't. He's standing on his principle.
Good for him. I have no problem with it.
Warren Davidson, Ohio, voted no as well. And then House Freedom Caucus Chairman Andy Harris voted present, so did not vote at all. You got Mike Johnson saying we're going to get it done in the House, and he delivered. Credit to Mike Johnson. We've been critical of him at times, and I felt like those times that we're being critical was appropriate. And when he's doing the things that I think need to be done and that I want to see done, I think you have to give him a pat on the back. Hey, nice work. I'm going to hold you to it every time. You're elected to represent me. You're elected to represent the American people.
I mean, by the way, the version of the bill that I have seen and just kind of glanced through at the time is over 1,000 pages.
Jeez.
So
this is going to take a minute.
This is big.
Yeah, it's going to take one big, beautiful bill.
And remember, that was a week ago.
True.
And there were still more changes going on in these committees to get it to the floor, to then use the reconciliation process to need the simple majority. And you'll have the same deal. 51 in the Senate. This thing's taken care of. Donald Trump signs it. You now have your new tax code into law.
Yeah. So that's where we start the 8 o'clock hour here on Xtra 106.3. But when we move on from that right now, because there's a lot of information out there, we want to make sure that we get it right before we deliver it to you or deliver an opinion on it. But it does look good on the surface. If nothing else, it looks good on the surface. What does not look quite as good, and we talked about it in the last segment in story time, those pardons, the thousands of pardons that Joe Biden auto-penned. The only one that we know of for sure that we've physically seen, is the pardon, the blanket pardon, going back to 2014, for his son, Hunter Biden. And you can look at the signature and tell the B is messy. It looks like a child wrote it. So you can tell that Joe Biden actually penned that. There's so many of them. What was the number? Did you say 8,000 total?
Yeah, 8,094 was the total amount.
2,500 on the final day.
Right, 2,490 on the final day, which, again, the idea is that these all have to be looked at as individual cases. So when Donald Trump signs 230 and Bill Clinton signs, his smaller number, and George Bush signs his smaller number, even Barack Obama, 1,900 feels a lot less than 8,000.
Yeah, it does.
It's a lot less.
So the thought is, and you may have thought about this before too, that it was somebody walking around like they were at Truist Park selling beers and hot dogs. Get your cold beer, get your pardon, get it right here. I got your pardon for you. And there was a price. There was a price that people could pay to access pardons. There's so many things that need to be examined about what Joe Biden did or what that board of directors was doing on his behalf. We talked about the time with the LNG when Mike Johnson asked him about it. He had no idea what Mike Johnson was talking about. How many more of those were done in the name of Joe Biden that Joe Biden had no idea about, Los?
You have to imagine quite a number. And just kind of looking at how this played out, like when you had the end of the Donald Trump era, the allegation was, look, they're selling pardons. Here's what they're doing. Rudy Giuliani is pushing this stuff. But you still required Donald Trump to sign these. When you don't have a signature process, and here's the wild part about it. We know for a fact that on the final day, when there were 2,490 of these signed, Joe Biden wasn't in D.C. Joe Biden was in Charlotte. It wasn't even in the state.
And if you recall, George Bush actually talked about, because he was asked about using AutoPen, and George Bush would fly back from Texas to make sure that he actually signed the things that were important to his administration, because he didn't feel like the AutoPen was good enough.
Right.
He would literally fly
gotta
back,
sign this thing,
go sign it, whatever that time takes, the flight from Texas to D.C., walk in, sign it, spend the time, and then turn around and go home. That's how important his actual signature was on anything that he was signing. Joe Biden didn't feel that way at all on the surface. What was happening below, we're not sure. But when you juxtapose those, one flew from his home to go make sure it was done. The other, was Yosemite Sam just rapid firing the AutoPen. And it seemed like it was used on everything.
Well, and if you're telling me that you're issuing out nearly 2,500 of these on the final day for a person who wasn't even in D.C., they weren't even in the region. They were several states away. Does that not sound like that is just wrought with fraud?
Yes.
Like, great. If you're telling me, because we've had situations, and I know like the Clinton one was always one of the famous ones. On the final day, it was Bill just like, sign it, sign it, sign it, sign it, sign it. And George Bush did the same thing. I'm going to sign a bunch of these on the way out. This is not the way that this was happening.
I tell you, if you came up to me, and you had let's say you had a trailer full of power equipment. Let's go with power equipment. You pull up and you're like, hey, Tug, you got any need for drills or saws? Any need for heaters or air conditioners? They all run off of this rechargeable battery. I was like, yeah, man. As a matter of fact, I was thinking about getting a new drill. Well, look, I had this trailer behind my truck, and it is full. It is, completely full of drills and saws, and I can give them to you real good deal. Immediately, would you not pause for just a moment to go, I wonder where those came from? Why do you all of a sudden have a trailer full of power equipment?
Feels very strange, Tug.
That you're selling about half the price that if you went to a big box store that they would sell it to you for. Would you automatically go, something don't feel right about that? That's the way this feels to me.
This is where I'm curious when it comes to Ed Martin, James Comer. It's one thing, as they've said, like James Comer has reiterated this week, they know who are the people that were involved in this. Now I want to find out, what was the reasoning? Was the reasoning just to make sure to hand out pardons at this incredible, crazy rate, which at some point we're just going to be able to say, at least these aren't legal. These are not legal pardons. Or is there something a little bit more dirty where, all right, was anyone taking payment for these pardons?
Tim Burchett would tell you yes. The answer is yes, that somebody was taking payment. And can you imagine? You're able to hang this over somebody else's head as you're selling these. If that's indeed what happened, and that's what's alleged, you are going to be able to blame me for it. You're selling those power tools out of the back of that trailer at half price, and then when somebody asks you about it, this is Tug's trailer. I was just selling it for him, or I was just towing it for him. So you're able to pin me with all of your sales of stolen goods out of your trailer, and you're like, well, today's a good day, man. I got off scot-free. It wasn't me. It was Tug the whole time.
Yeah, that's totally fine.
That's what they're doing. That's exactly what the board of directors, the people that were running the Biden administration, are able to do. They're like, wasn't me. Joe Biden was the president.
And they're all able. They lay it at the feet of the guy with cancer and with dementia. It wasn't filthy. Me. I didn't have anything to do with this.
How filthy.
Or I was told. And that's another thing. Remember, this is the commander-in-chief. If he tells you this is what you're supposed to do, then it's what happens. Now, what's Joe Biden going to say? I didn't tell him that. And now we're in the quagmire. Now it's a dementia patient with cancer who it's now a he said.
Dude, I brought this up yesterday. If somebody changed their will, and they're in the end of their life, dementia and cancer, if they change their will completely, and now the kids don't get anything, and they've left it to whomever, you pick the person. No court would let that stand. No court would be like, yep, all of that's going to the random person that nobody knows. The family gets nothing because of the mental state and the health of the person changing their will a couple days before they pass. No court's going to allow that to stand. Why would this stand? Because it's the same scenario, except on such a grander scale. Nobody's going to allow. No judge is going to be like, yep, that's just fine.
Sounds good. Everything's good there.
Everything checks out. No, it doesn't. The man's got dementia. He can't change his will like that. And the kids would have a valid argument, just like we all have a valid argument about, are any of these things that he signed real?
There's just so much crud that happens in that town that it's like, it's on to the next one. Like right now, this is the story. This is what we're paying attention to. It's all centered around Joe Biden and the ailments that he has and what happened during those days, beginning throughout all 4 years and at the end of those days. But then you have a compliant media that's telling you, well, y'all just need to move on.
Yes.
I mean, why are you going after the guy with cancer? And there are some people that will buy into that mentality. Look what Donald Trump's accomplishing. This is great. You know what? Let's focus on this, the big, beautiful bill.
Seen it.
Right.
I've seen it. People on Facebook especially. It's like, I can't believe... I
can't believe they're going after him in this way.
This is embarrassing for conservatives to ask these questions. What? No, it's not. Would it be if you were dancing on Joe Biden's diagnosis? If you were celebrating, yeah, that would be filthy.
Look at me, I'm dancing.
Yeah, here I am. If you're doing that, yes, that's embarrassing. That's filthy. But no one's doing that. I've not heard one single person take joy in Joe Biden's dementia or his cancer. I take zero. It's awful. I wouldn't wish it on anyone. Anyone. But asking about what he was doing or capable of doing or was being done on his behalf that he had no idea is a valid question. It should be asked. And everybody should want to know it from every side of the political aisle. They should all want to know what happened. And that's why I thought the brilliance of what Donald Trump said in his True Social post when he said Joe Biden wasn't an open borders guy. I think someone was doing it on his behalf because that's the question that needs to be asked. Donald Trump was brilliant in that tactic, that political tactic. He actually defended Joe Biden so nobody can just say, well, you're just going after Biden because he was your predecessor and you don't have anything in common with him. No, what he was doing was opening up a real conversation and actually defending Joe Biden. He took Joe Biden away from the Democrats. They can't
hurt him anymore.
That's right, dude. I think it's great. I thought it was so smart.
He can't hurt you anymore, Joe. You're okay now.
That's right. It's so nuts. I just can't imagine anybody going, yep, everything's fine. Looking at the situation, everything's fine.
I'm just
as the stadium's burning down. Nothing's going on. Everything's fine.
If we were to prove that all of this is legitimate in terms of the accusations. If we were able to prove, hey, not only did they auto pen all of these, and I believe they did, and I think the compelling, when it comes to just the evidence, says that that's what happened outside of the Hunter Biden one. As you pointed out, the Hunter Biden one is different than every one of the rest of these.
At least the ones that we've seen.
At least the ones that we've seen that were signed on that final day. Again, there's over 2,400 of them, but the Hunter Biden one's different than the others. All right, if we're able to point that out, do you really think we're going to be able to get rid of these pardons? Because they're not supposed to be legal. He didn't sign them.
I think it's worth exploring.
He wasn't even there.
I think it absolutely is worth exploring. And for anybody to say, hey, this is just a witch hunt, we don't need to do this, we need to move on. Yes, we do.
But think about all the people that would suddenly, your January 6th commission, Adam Schiff is suddenly in play.
They're drawing up.
Anthony Fauci's in play.
They're nervous.
I mean, all of the criminals of 2021 to 2024, they're all suddenly in play.
As they should.
Yeah.
As they should be. And I like what Tim Burchett said. Somebody got rich off handing out pardons. This is just one of many things that somebody got rich off of. Think about the money that the Biden family got because they were allegedly selling access to the vice president and the president. They got incredibly wealthy doing that. Somebody got rich in so many things. Think about how many things that were fake. We didn't have a president. That's fake. The election was stolen. We feel confident about that. That's fake. They told us that he was just fine. His health was just fine. He is fit for duty. Fake. The jobs numbers were fake. The interviews, the set that they build,
fake.
All fake.
On the final day.
And now the pardons, we learned, fake.
Francis Biden, James Biden, Sarah Jones Biden, John T. Owens, Valerie Biden Owens, all of them on the final day. Also on the final day, Anthony Fauci, Mark Milley. I mean, you can go through members of the Congress who served on the select committee to investigate January 6th. All of them received every single one of these. Like, you can just go through the list. And it was, how do we cover all of these people? Just gross.
It is filthy, filthy, filthy. All on your dime, all on your backs, the back of the American people. When we continue on Extra 106.3, 8 o'clock hours brought to you by Central Heating and Air Conditioning, your Atlanta carrier expert, 770-GET-HEAT, centralheat.com. Pfizer and the government knew about the dangers of the COVID shot, and they made a conscious decision not to tell you. Next on the Morning Extra.
Get connected to Extra 106.3 on all your favorite apps. Then download ours and stream the station across Georgia. We're live online at extra1063.com. Stream live video from the studios on YouTube. And of course, Kimmer, Bortz, and your favorite Extra shows in crystal clear digital on the Extra 106.3 app.
You may do it differently than I do, but we both do it. You update your wardrobe, right? Like I don't do it nearly as much as like my wife would, but man, I get me a new ball cap about every time I can turn around. I love me a new ball cap. That's updating my wardrobe. So it's a little different than you maybe. But sometimes you update your cell phone, you update the computer. I just got a new laptop. I don't know, it's been a few months now, but it's new. You had to upgrade it. Now's the time to upgrade the thing that matters most to your family, and that is the house that you live in. Upgrades there are made easy with Southern Exteriors. And right now you can get 10% off any job or 12 months, 0% financing. Roofing, siding, gutters, and so much more. They've been trusted across the Southeast since 1999. They're based in Jackson, Georgia, take care of Metro Atlanta. They've taken care of me, and they can take care of you as well. They're trusted because when they come out to your house, they have a foreman on site to make sure that the job is done to your standards, to your expectation. And you can ask, hey, why is that being done this way? And they can either say, hey, here's the reason behind it. This is the way it'll turn out, and you'll be happy with it. And you can say, okay, or no, that's not exactly. That's not at all what I wanted. You have that ability to talk to someone there. It doesn't happen very often with construction projects. I can tell you, we had an interior construction project going on, renovation of the house. It was awful. It was a disaster. We had to fire the contractor, hire another one. You don't deal with that at Southern Exteriors. I know those guys. They show up, they do it right, stand behind their work. How do you get a hold of them? 8779-SOUTHERN, southernexteriors.co.
A company that has been trusted in Atlanta for over 25 years has already done their hometown homework, like having the very best people, fair, honest pricing, exceptional customer service, and a focus on high-quality work. That's us. Hi, I'm Dan Watkins, owner of All Four Seasons Garage, Entry Doors, and Windows. Sometimes new isn't better, like out-of-town home improvement companies invading Atlanta with their inflated pricing and subpar work. When trust matters, trust us. All the number 4 Seasons Garage, SubaruGarages.com.
Hey, it's a Kimmer. Okay, you're driving along. Suddenly you hear that horrible sound of metal and crunching. It's an accident. Even if it's a little minor fender bender, man, that could be a nightmare. First, obviously, take care of yourself. But before you make a deal with an insurance company or anybody else, call David Van Sant with Van Sant Law. You know why? Because he used to work for the insurance company, so he knows how to get the right settlement and right away. Van Sant Law. Don't forget, if you don't get paid, they don't get paid. Protecting your interests. Insurance is great, but it's complicated. 855-GA-INJURY or vansantlaw.com.
The warm air, the beautiful weather, and the sounds of baseball. It's got you thinking about hitting the road. And no matter where your adventures take you, Subaru of Gwinnett has a vehicle to get you there safely and in style. Like the 2025 Subaru Outback, which will take you as far as you want to explore with standard symmetrical all-wheel drive plus up to 32 miles per gallon. And if you're up for adventure, it'll get you off the beaten path with up to 9.5 inches of ground clearance. More than the Honda CR-V or Toyota RAV4 or the 2025 Subaru Forester, the SUV for all you love. It's the right-sized SUV for all the adventures ahead with a spacious and comfortable interior for everyone you want to bring along. And no matter where adventure takes you, it starts on Satellite Boulevard in Duluth with the amazing staff at Subaru of Gwinnett. They'll help you find the Subaru that you'll love and be there every step of the way for everything you need. Start your shopping online at SubaruofGwinnett.com.
The future of business in Georgia is bright, and Georgia Power is a driving force behind the businesses and organizations that are vital to the growth of the state. Organizations like Georgia Tech.
Jay, why don't you tell us about the Fanning Center, named after Southern Company CEO Tom Fanning?
It's an over $85 million project, fully funded by our donors and supporters of Georgia Tech Athletics. Certainly would be remiss without thanking Tom and all his generosity that made that building possible. It'll feature everything from a dedicated sports science center, which will make us best in class in motion capture, injury prevention, injury recovery. There's a huge focus on strength and conditioning and integration with sports technology. There's also space for sports medicine, recovery, mental health, which is a big focus for us in taking care of our student athletes. And then a big footprint for our football program, from offices to team spaces, meeting rooms, etc. That'll be best in class.
To learn more about how Georgia Power is helping businesses big and small, visit GeorgiaPower.com and tune in all year to discover how they're powering the future of Georgia.
Fox on Tech. Getting a little blurry-eyed reading product descriptions on Amazon? They've got AI for that now. Amazon is testing out a new feature to help you make shopping decisions with more ease and maybe with more speed. Using artificial intelligence, Amazon will be able to read you a description of the item you're considering purchasing. By tapping a button labeled "Here the highlights," an AI will tell you what the product is all about, what it does, how well it does it, what it's made from, and what you, the consumer, should expect. Amazon says the AI is summarizing the data about the product, and that data comes from Amazon's own testing of the merchandise. It is not simply a recording of the scripted product description. It will even incorporate reviews from other Amazon customers who've bought the item in the past. Look for the feature on the Amazon shopping app as it rolls out to U.S. customers. With Fox on Tech, I'm Eben Brown, Fox News.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Here are your Georgia headlines for Thursday, May 22nd. Bond has been granted for 19-year-old Jimena Arias Cristobal, the college student who was arrested in Dalton and detained by ICE. She will have an immigration hearing, but no date has been scheduled yet. Her father was also released last week. Days after BioLab announced it will not reopen its manufacturing plant in Conyers, a town hall was held for victims of the explosion and fire last September. Residents are seeking to file a class action lawsuit later this year for punitive damages. And the Army Corps of Engineers has announced the closing of many parks and campgrounds around the state, citing staffing concerns. 20 campgrounds at Lake Lanier and 2 areas of Lake Allatoona are among those closures. Today's weather, mostly sunny today with windy conditions this afternoon. High temperatures will be in the low 80s. With your headlines, I'm Jerry Payne.
8 o'clock hour brought to you by Central Heating and Air Conditioning, your Atlanta carrier expert, 770 Get Heat, centralheat.com. Reach out to those folks. I have to give front office Los a lot of praise, a lot of credit, especially when it comes to this next discussion. He carried the torch. He took the arrows. He took the shots. I just mean
so to speak.
So to speak, yes. Not the actual shots, but the shots to.
I took the shots, no jabs.
Yeah, that's right. But like people would be like, "Well, that's not right," or just all of this, just all of these doubters that would question Los, and he was out front. He was ferocious with his belief, and now he's been proven correct. There's been so many things that we talk about on the show where we're telling you it's coming. This is what's coming. This is what's going to take place. And later on, after people are like, nope, y'all are crazy, then it happens. Los led the charge of this ahead of everyone. And now the Senate, they have a hearing that proves everything he said, everything that we reported, everything that we discussed on the show, that Pfizer and the government, the FDA included, the CDC based here in Atlanta, knew full, good, and well that the COVID vax was causing myocarditis in young people and they consciously made the decision to tell no one.
The data was out there from very early on, and we were seeing it in young, healthy male athletes. Now, it was different for what was happening to women. Women, we were seeing a concentration of the lipid-nanoparticles in the ovaries. You're like, wait a minute, why is we got spike protein and LMPs that are going over here?
Which was making women have challenges with their cycle.
Yes.
My sister-in-law experienced it firsthand.
Saw it in our house. So there was that. But what was strange was, why are we seeing all these young people fall out? Why are we seeing young men, most notably? And part of it was a discussion of, well, maybe it's their metabolism. Maybe this is moving around their body faster. Maybe it's causing some issues. But normally when something happens, you pull it off the market until you understand what is going on. And oftentimes we're talking about 1 death, 2 deaths, 5 deaths, and something gets taken off the market until we understand what's up. And notably, Pfizer and Moderna never did, and the government was like, nope, don't even mess with it. Don't even tell them.
And then actively downplayed it.
Yes.
And they lied to you. They lied to your face. They used Facebook and social media to censor the conversations you could have about it. They paid, this is what we're hearing, they paid even influencers to go on social media and say, no, this is not at all. All that's incorrect. You should trust. Make sure you get your booster. They were paying people to tell you this. And now you probably didn't listen because you listened to this show and you knew better.
Or if you were forced into it, you probably have that it sucked.
Yeah.
Some people just got forced into it in order to hold on to their job.
And dude, there's nothing more, I would imagine, nothing more frightening. This horrible feeling of, I know I don't want to do this, but my livelihood, everything that I've worked for is on the line for a shot. It seems... okay, I'll just give in. I'll fold. And then you look back and you go, I didn't want to do it. They made me do it. And now they're telling me that it is horrible for my health.
I think the part that I always go back to that makes me crazy is that when we use like VAERS data, which has the VAERS data has an underreporting aspect to it. If you see numbers, you have to imagine that you can times them by 10, times it by 25. Like those are the general accepted numbers. That if you see something that says 4,000, times it by 25, and that's probably more accurate of what you're actually seeing that's playing out in the world. The wild part is that when you start to do the math and you say, all right, somebody who's been killed or severely injured by this or had a horrible reaction, well, you know what? It's only like 1 in 8,000. That's too many. For drugs to stay on the market, there's no way.
If that were a toddler's toy,
it's gone.
Gone. And maybe never coming back.
And this is what the great tragedy is of having a government and Big Pharma partner together on a product.
And
they were serving each other's interests.
Of course.
Without any real oversight.
Scratching each other's back.
Yep.
Just taking care of one another, padding each other's pockets. Here's the other thing. On top of all, think about this as you think about the things that we've discussed over the last few days, since last Friday specifically. On top of all the lies about Joe Biden's health, his cognitive ability, this just adds to, because we've called it the most consequential corruption that we've ever seen in American history. This adding this to it, not that this broke the camel's back, but adding this to it, it's so clear that this is even bigger than the JFK killing.
Now, for anyone that's like, well, Los, why did you think this? What was your deal here? I was listening to the doctors that were being censored. Now, these people are not quacks. That's always going to be the first thing. Well, that's a quack doctor.
Yeah.
So one of the things that happened last night when I pointed out this information is I've got one crazy lefty. Listen, I got like 100 crazy lefties, but when I'm like, okay, here's one of them in particular. And he does the vaccine saved millions of lives. I go to Dr. Peter McCullough. Now, who's Dr. Peter McCullough? What, is this some quack doctor? Dr. Peter McCullough has more papers that have been published than any doctor in American history as far as studies. He's over 1,000 studies that he's been a part of that have been published in medical journals all around the country, all around the world. Peter McCullough is recognized as one of our top cardiologists in the entirety of the country. And he was one of the first people signaling we have a problem with young people and this shot, young males. He was the first one to signal it. Well, Peter McCullough spent some of his testimony time yesterday pointing out, you can't say, because as they always pointed out, there's never been a double-blind randomized trial that actually shows that the COVID shot saved lives. Oh. You can't prove it.
Yeah.
You simply can't. In fact, you can take scientific normal factors like, herd immunity, which we talked about quite a bit in 2020, and Omicron, which was getting lesser and lesser of an issue. And those are probably the biggest factor as to why you didn't have as many people die moving forward as you saw in 2020 and 2021.
But what do the networks do? What does the mainstream media do?
It saved millions.
They tuck it in like a football
no, it didn't.
Protect it and run it down the field and run it down your throat and tell you over and over and over. I guarantee you, if you went out in the Battery today and you talked to 10 people and you said, did COVID vax save millions of people? 9 out of 10 of them would be like, yeah. Because they've been told that, and they believe it.
So dude on Twitter takes what Rachel Maddow says, and I happen to be quoting the most published cardiologist in the history of the country, and I'm the weirdo? I'm the quack? No. It was all about the delivery method. It was where you were getting it from. And in this case, you were getting it from a short-haired crazy woman who told you all these things that end up being false, and I was listening to the most published doctor in American history.
The one that said yesterday, it was not safe by design. The lethal part of the virus is in the vaccinated.
It's in the spike.
It's circulating in the blood. It's the killer protein.
It's the spike protein, which was you were always told it will be localized, and it never was from early on. In fact, I was talking about this in 2020, 2021. The Japanese studies, in order to get it into the Japanese market, Pfizer was required to turn over their data in terms of what was happening in rats. What were they finding in rats? Well, it turns out the spike protein and the LNPs were going to the female genitalia and also either the men's brain, the heart, or the genitalia. In rats.
Dude, but the saddest part about all of this is when you went to your doctor's office and they encouraged you to take this, I bet I would be willing to bet. 404-741-1230.
I got that pushed and immediately I just went, nope.
Did you get pushed to do it? And did they tell you any of this while they were pushing you toward it? No. I bet the answer is no. You tell me if I'm wrong. 404-741-1230. Because they were being paid. They got paid based on how many shots that they gave.
And the problem is, Pfizer knew this stuff. I mean, that's what we found through congressional testimony. Pfizer knew, Moderna knew, the government knew. And they just decided, let's not tell them. Let's keep this under wraps. In fact, remember what they were doing for the longest time. And this was 2 years worth of this. Anyone who ended up getting myocarditis, again, a scarring of the heart, they would tell you, well, that's because you got actual COVID. And that's what it did to you. They were never going to tell you it was a vaccine that did it to you. Well, I know you took the vaccine, but you got COVID later, and that's what caused the myocarditis.
And I remember you bringing this up in the early on.
Probably 2021.
Probably so. And it was when Peter McCullough, and he brought it up in his testimony, he said, I'd only seen myocarditis twice. in my career.
In the age group that he was working in.
Yes, that's right. In his career.
As again, a cardiologist who's the most published in American history, that cardiologist was saying, I'd only seen myocarditis twice in this age group.
And then the vaccine rollout and the vaccines changed everything. His words, not mine. Changed everything.
Listen, put my brother in the hospital. My brother-in-law, who had never had any kind of serious health condition, and I remember when he went to the hospital and they're like, we can't get his heart rate under control. Like, his heart is going crazy. And I remember, I told my wife, I remember to this day, I was like, I know you're not going to find any stuff on this, but this is one of the issues that's going on with this shot, and I know what his political views are, and so I'm sure he's gotten every single shot and booster and everything else. Like, somebody needs to talk to him about not doing this anymore. Now, I don't know if he's figured that out. He's still here with us, fortunately, but you're not supposed to have that heart issue. In this case, he was like 37, and he's in the hospital dealing with crazy heart issue.
Our dear friend, Carolyn Ryan, she's talked about her brother.
Talked about her brother, yeah.
He was in his 40s.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful family, kids, healthy as a buck, never been sick in a day in his life, and it took his life.
Yeah, quick.
And it was. She would tell you that, too.
There's somebody else we know who's a big listener to this show. She would tell you about the people that she had, that she knew from within her company, where she was like, these people were dropping within 48 hours of taking this thing. It's like they were having either a stroke or a heart issue.
Okay, my own aunt. She had been the most healthy of my dad's siblings. She takes the vaccine and very shortly later is gone. Hank Aaron.
Hank Aaron was within, what was it, like a week?
Yes.
It was pretty wild.
Dude, you can't tell me that none of those are connected at all. That's just an anomaly.
It's just a randomness of what goes on.
It's impossible.
But that's what the federal government, in conjunction with Pfizer and Moderna, was willing to not tell you about.
And that's what they were peddling to you.
That's what they were peddling to you. And so now you actually have the data that they knew. Like, one of the things, it took us forever. Remember, we were not supposed to find out any of the trial data that Pfizer had until 55 years from now. And there had to be court battles in order to be able to look at what are the side effects, because they wanted hidden for 55 years.
Los, reckon why? I'm sure it's nothing to do with anything we're talking about.
And so we talk about 80-20 issues, right? Like, that's all the time we talk about 80-20 issues. There's still about 15% of this country that'll go take these products. And they're the ones where you're like, huh. And they're always like, why am I sick all the time?
Great question.
I wonder why.
Interesting timing this week, by the way. The FDA no longer recommends the annual COVID vaccine for anyone healthy under the age of 65.
That is for the kids, too. That's the big one, is taking it off the schedule. Like, good. I'm glad that we have Robert F. Kennedy Jr. that is getting after some of this stuff. Now, let's go after their pockets.
That's what the adults in the room did for us for that 4 years. The adults are back in the room. We did a whole segment on it with Los earlier, and how the adults were back in the room, and they were never back in the room. Because the adults are supposed to be the ones that are level-headed, making good decisions on behalf of their family or whomever, a country in our case. They were never the adults. Letitia James must have forgotten where she lives. What? Surely she hadn't forgotten where she lives. She knows where she lives, right? She knows the address. Maybe not. Next on Xtra 106.3.
The Morning Xtra on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Xtra 106.3 FM.
Hello, America, and everybody else. It's Los. Let's talk about the honest car guy. That's Tom. That's Tom Mitchell. Now, what can Tom do for you? Well, Tom is one of those guys that spent his entire life in the car business, and now he's decided, I'm going to start up my own company. HonestCarGuy.com. You can always get a hold of him, HonestCarGuy.com, or you can give him a call, 844-SHOW-ME, the number 1, 844-SHOW-ME-1. Here's how it works. It is not complicated. You give Tom a call. You tell Tom, I'm looking for this make and model of a vehicle. And now Tom goes to work for you. He continues to keep you involved in the process. I've sat there through the process with him. If you want to learn about the car buying process, he will show you how it works. And he'll also show you, most importantly, where the dealerships always tack on fees. Thousands of dollars in fees. You'll be like, what? What do you mean a tint fee? There's no tint on the windows. Oops, we forgot about that fee. Take it off. I mean, these are the things that dealerships typically do. Tom ends up showing you, here are all the ways you're going to save money working with me. And once you secure the vehicle, you give Tom an honest fee. That's how it works. It is not complicated. We're not talking about 6 hours on a Saturday in the dealership. You're having to haggle back and forth. Let me go talk to my manager again. None of that. You're just dealing with Tom and Tom alone. Again, go to honestcarguy.com. That's honestcarguy.com or call 844-SHOW-ME-1. That's 844-SHOW-ME1.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
Good morning. Here are your sports headlines for Thursday, May 22nd. The Atlanta Braves were off last night after the game against the Nationals in D.C. was rained out. That game will be made up as part of a doubleheader in September. A.J. Smith-Shawver takes the mound for the Braves tonight. He'll be opposed by Trevor Williams. First pitch is set for 6:45. You can hear that game on our sister station's brand new app, 680 The Fan. A wild night in the association as the Indiana Pacers have taken a 1-game-to-none series lead in the Eastern Conference Finals after a wild comeback in the final 3 minutes by the Pacers to force overtime against the New York Knicks, eventually beating them in overtime 138-135. From the Western Conference Finals, it continues tonight with the Oklahoma City Thunder looking for a 2-games-to-none series lead over the Minnesota Timberwolves. That game will tip off tonight from OKC at 8:30. With your sports headlines, I'm Carlos Medina.
Want the truth about shopping for new floors? Big box stores might have flooring departments, but Empire today has flooring experts. There's a huge difference. At a big box store, you might be getting help from someone who's in flooring today, but was stocking toilets yesterday. With Empire, you'll work with a dedicated flooring expert. We bring the store to your home, help find the right floors for your lifestyle, and answer questions. All while you view hundreds of samples with your own furniture, decor, and lighting. You'll get an all-inclusive price estimate and can schedule installation as soon as the next day for in-stock styles. That's Empire's Home Floor Advantage, working with experts who specialize in one thing: flooring. For a limited time, use code RADIO to get $500 off your contract of $3,500 or more when you call or visit EmpireToday.com. That's $500 off with code RADIO. You know the number. 800-588-2300 Today. Offer may not be applied to sales or combined with other coupons, discounts, or savings. Terms apply.
Calling all contractors. This is Devin Stovall, Stovall & Company, and we're here for you. We're a third-generation, family-owned and operated company for 75 years and just opened our 11th location in Canton on 9500 Union Hill Road. We're proud to provide your wholesale irrigation, nursery, and landscape supply needs. How do you envision your dream outdoor space for you or your customers? We're here to fulfill them all. We all take pride in special requests and shipping right to your job site. Here at Stovall, we have it all. Check us out at StovallINC.com.
So, the doc says I have ED. ED. But you know what? At the end of the day, it's just an abbreviation for a condition so many men have. If I was to be honest, I probably also have a little OCD. I know I have a great HMO. Heck, I even have 3 weeks of PTO. Look, don't let a few letters get you down. If you have ED, there's HELP. Go see Dr. Deal at Total Body Therapy of Georgia. He's an ED specialist that will turn your life around PDQ. ED happens to a lot of men as we age. And just FYI, Dr. Deal can give you back the confidence you need to perform on the JOB. So, ready to take the first step? Quit yelling WTF at your little BFF and visit tbtofga.com. Total Body Therapy of Georgia. They can fix your ED ASAP. And before you know it, you'll be screaming OMG.
I'm getting in the game. The world won't be the same. I'm good. I'm good to go.
Call 404-777-1911 or visit tbtofga.com.
Hey, Atlanta's Mark from the Safe House. I have a question for you. Am I the only person pissed off with the mainstream fake news, liberal judges,
and whiny liberal politicians
who don't realize why Donald Trump is president, and fake safes? And you may wonder, why fake safes? Well, a fake safe is like Joe Biden, cheap and ineffective. A real safe from Atlanta Safe House is like Donald Trump, tough, effective, and provides peace of mind when you need it the most. So drop by Atlanta Safe House and check out the largest selection of safes in the Southeast and see what a real safe looks like. So go to AtlantaSafeHouse.com.
How can you believe in a government if none of the corrupt politicians ever go to jail?
The Kimmer Show every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.
If you're here for the Letitia James discussion about forgetting her address, bear with us. We're going to push that over into the 9 o'clock hour. We're going to get to that because it's an important conversation, and I think it will be one that will be intriguing to you, but we just hit a nerve.
Based on yesterday's data.
That's right.
What came out during the Senate hearing.
Yes. So yesterday, I'm taking your words now. Early in the last segment, we hit a nerve with the COVID vax. And I want to go to Tony in Brookhaven, who wants to talk about it a little bit. First time on the show, first time call. I hope you've been listening a long time. Tony, appreciate you being here.
Oh, yes, sir, I have. What struck a nerve with me is there was also the oxygen levels in your blood problem. A very long story I'll make very short. Back in 2004 with the military, I went to a CVMTS, which is a chemical, medical, biological treatment symposium. I think I transferred the letters there. But the interesting thing is there was a Chinese military doctor there talking about how they were working on something to constrict the capillaries so if their soldiers got hit by bio or chem, they could keep fighting for about 3 days. And one of the other scientists asked, well, what happens in 3 days? And the Chinese guy replied, well, you die. And the scientist replied, well, that's going to take a lot of guys. And the Chinese military doctor said, well, we have a lot of guys. But the chilling thing is all the, respirators we needed and the oxygen levels. I just found it very curious that we had all these problems with oxygen. And these guys, I heard firsthand with my own ears, were working on oxygen restriction into the venous side, keeping everything on the arterial side. So, you have all the heart problems, but a lot of the oxygen problems, piqued my curiosity.
Tony, first off, thank you for the call. Now, the next part about this. Part of the reason why we had gain-of-function research is so that we could start creating bioweapons.
That was from the guy. So
Tony's on, like, when he's telling you, like, he's on the initial part of the thinking was after we had the anthrax attacks.
Let me tell you, I had to take those shots.
Of 2001, it became a big push within this government that what can you do from a bioweapons perspective that doesn't require flying planes into buildings or bombing everything or having to drop nuclear weapons. It was what can you create as pathogens that'll work just as well.
And be more, probably more deadly.
And that was our research. We were paying for it.
And affect more people, right? Because flying a plane into a building, as sad as that is and as rallying as it is, you killed 3,000 people. Like, for them, that's not enough. That's not enough people. We want to get rid of many, many people.
And similar that we have a race with AI going on, we've had a bioweapons race going on for the better part of 20 years.
That's exactly right. Man, I love when people like Tony from Brookhaven call in because they're so plugged in, they're so dialed in, and they have such good perspective and experience to share with you.
Yeah, because I would have never been in such a conference.
Exactly. But Tony was. Thank you, Tony. We appreciate you listening to Brookhaven. 404-741-1230. Marty, what's on your mind?
Hey, good morning, guys. Long-time caller, first-time listener.
Thank you, Marty.
My concern is more long-term, actually generational. What happens to those that didn't take the shot and those that took the shot, and they get married and that blood mixes? What happens to those children, grandchildren, and their health? Secondly, if I were to get into a car accident, I get a blood transfusion. Is that blood tainted with the COVID shot?
It's a good question.
Is Red Cross going to go ahead and put that in their questionnaire? Did you take the booster? Did you take COVID?
And it's funny because they do ask questions like that when you get blood.
That question has now been asked because, again, of those LNPs that are moving around the bloodstream. Now, there are detox doctors that'll tell you because the problem that this ultimately causes is inflammation. Inflammation, at the simplest form, is what you don't want in the body. If your diet's giving you inflammation, that's bad. That makes you ripe for disease. If you've taken this shot, it makes you ripe for inflammation. That's bad for disease. But there are ways to detox off of it. And so that ends up being like that next step of, do people start looking into how do I keep this from ever being in my system ever again?
Yeah.
And then you got to worry about, all right, who am I involved in? How much did they take this? Is that going to affect? Because I know that from a woman's perspective, if my wife and I wanted to have another child, and this had been 4 years ago when she took it, it would have probably been impossible to very difficult because of what it did to her cycle.
Yeah.
I mean, it went haywire.
I'm telling you,
it went nuts.
Sister-in-law, same way. And sister-in-law, I don't know, was a proponent of vax, but had always believed in vaccines. She went to, she was basically a scientist out at the University of Wyoming. That's what her degree was in. And she was like, I think it's a good idea. I think it's a good idea. And then got the vax. Cycle went haywire. And then she threw up she was like, wait. Something is not right.
Well, and that's the other bad part. So we get the congressional testimony. We get the Senate testimony as far as...
Which basically said everything that we've been telling you is right.
Pfizer and Moderna knew about this along with the federal government, CDC, FDA. All of them decided not to tell you when it came to young men and myocarditis. That's what we found out. One of the other areas, because we talked about how full this was, you had women's groups on Facebook that started to get together and started to point out, hey, I'm having these issues now that I've taken this with my cycle, with my reproductive system. Is anyone else? Like, people are looking for community when they have this. And the federal government moved in, started putting pressure on people on groups like Facebook and on Twitter at the time to make sure that people couldn't find community of other people that were having these issues. So you were left to be on your own.
And I'm not trying to absolve Facebook from any responsibility because I believe they believed in the politics.
They were taking them all down.
They were taking them all down. But even in the cases that they didn't, with the thumb of the federal government on you, knowing that they can make your life hell in some way or other, and with the way that the Biden administration weaponized the government, they were adamant. You know what we can do to you if you don't cooperate.
Just say it's very mafia-like.
Yes, sir, it is.
Hey, I think it'd be a good idea if you went along with this. Well, how come? It'd just probably be in your own best interest.
Yeah, they wouldn't even have to say we're going to send the new IRS agents.
Again, when you're being contacted, as Facebook was by the FBI,
daily.
Okay.
Daily interactions. They would send a list. Here's what we need you to take down. Here's what has to come down.
I'm just glad this information finally is seeing the light of day so that especially young people that were having heart issues, they can't claim that, hey, I was having this because of the shot. And for the longest time, not only did Big Pharma, but your government said, no, that's not the case.
And it all goes back. We owe Elon Musk. It all goes back to Elon. Free flow of information. When we continue, the disinformation campaign of MSNBC's seized Morning Joe and Letitia James for getting her home address.
And good tax information.
Yes, all of it. Next on Xtra 106.3.
Time for the Bortz Report, exclusively on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Xtra 106.3.
If you've listened to me for any amount of time, you'll know that I am not a fan of so-called public schools. First of all, they're government schools, completely owned and operated by the government. Call them what they are, folks. Let's start a trend. Oh, some of you know that I really studied the origin of government schools in this country, and I'll remind you of a few facts. Government schools came around in the very early 1900s. Why? Because we were going from an agricultural economy to an industrial economy. Industry needed employees who could read. Industry needed workers who could read instructions, directions, what have you. So here come the schools. But the politicians and business leaders wanted to make sure that the workers didn't become too educated. They could then pose a threat to their bosses and to politicians. So I could get into details, and I will, but not right now. A deliberate attempt was made to be careful not to educate the children too much. Keep them somewhat dumbed down. Now, how successful have they been? I found some statistics from the state of Illinois. That's where Chicago is, big deal. And these statistics pointed out that not one student could read at the appropriate grade level. The most expensive government school in Chicago was called the Douglas Academy High School. 44 students, $56,000 a year. Not one single student could read at grade level. Somewhat cheaper, if you will, the Clay City Junior High School, $13,000 a year. Not one single student could read at grade level. City of Chicago School District 299, $52,000 a year was the school spending per student. Not one of the 84 students tested could read at grade level. Not one. And Democrats are pedaling as fast as they can to save these government schools. Why? Well, without people that can't read, where are Democrats going to get votes? Neil Bortz, Extra 106.3.
Securing America. The Coast Guard Academy's class of 2025 graduated Wednesday, ready to begin full-time military service. Acting Coast Guard Commandant Admiral Kevin Lundy.
Our nation expects our military, you, to lead, fight, and win.
Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem told the graduates they now have the rare opportunity to lead and change people's lives.
When consequences come that affect your people, that affect the United States of America, you will get angry on their behalf.
Noem went on to make this suggestion.
Use your talents to find special ways to contribute to our nation's safety, our security, and our prosperity.
Adding that challenges are good, especially in America.
What dream will come next for you? Only you get to decide that. That's the power and the duty of freedom.
The Secretary says the class of 2025 is the first in a brand new Coast Guard. Kevin Uretsky, Fox News.
WFOM and W292EV Marietta, a Dickey Broadcasting Station. The 9 a.m. hour is presented by Southern Exteriors. Quality and precision you can rely on.
A big boost for a big, beautiful bill. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's what Republicans call what they approved a few hours ago.
Today, the House has passed generational, truly nation-shaping legislation.
House Speaker Mike Johnson says that bill that barely passed, 215 to 214, will
reduce spending and permanently lower taxes for families and job creators, secure the border, unleash American energy dominance.
2 Republicans voted no, joining all the Democrats who claim spending cuts to key programs will take food assistance away from millions of Americans, and millions more will lose health coverage, and cuts to Medicaid and new work requirements. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries also says
this one big, ugly bill will also set in motion a $490 billion cut to Medicare.
Democrats can't filibuster or block the bill in the Senate. President Trump urged Republicans there to pass it as soon as possible. The bill includes extending the 2017 tax cuts, and the president also touted in a Truth Social post 2 other provisions: no tax on tips, no tax on overtime. In Washington, D.C.,
we will not tolerate anti-Semitism.
Mayor Muriel Bowser, after a young couple about to be engaged was shot and killed last night. The accused gunman chanted "Free, Free Palestine" when being arrested.
The couple who worked at the Israeli embassy here in Washington gunned down at the Capitol Jewish Museum. The Israeli government identified the victims as Yaron Lishinsky and Sarah Milgram, calling them friends and colleagues, described the shooter as a terrorist. President Trump posting, quote, "These horrible D.C. killings based obviously on anti-Semitism must end now."
Fox's Lucas Tomlinson. A disaster in San Diego. A small plane crashed into a neighborhood early this morning, spilling jet fuel everywhere, setting 15 homes on fire, leaving to many evacuations. It's not known if anyone was hurt or killed on the plane or in a house. America's listening to Fox News.
Heroes like Austin Reese have paid a high price for our freedom. Austin served 3 deployments to Iraq. He spent 13 years with the Navy Explosive Ordnance Disposal Unit and became a military freefall instructor. But in what was thought to be a routine jump, something went terribly wrong. Austin was left paralyzed. Tunnel to Towers built Austin a specially adapted smart home. Help heroes. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. That's T2T.org.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-893-2288. 800-893-2288. 800-893-2288.
Wake up with the Morning Xtra on Xtra 106.3 Atlanta.
Tug and Los until 10 on the Morning Xtra. Thank you for being here. Always appreciative of your time because that's your most valuable asset. And the fact that you would use that time with us means the world to us. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
That's why I'm going to read 1,100 pages tonight.
Just for you.
Of the big, beautiful bill now that I'm going to get a finalized version. Because I got a week ago's version.
That's right.
But it looks like this is going to be close to final with the permanent tax cut.
Permanente.
The tax cuts will be permanent.
Freaking let's go.
That is really exciting for small business and corporate America to be able to plan moving forward, knowing that the tax code will not change abruptly at the end of 2025.
One big, beautiful bill has passed the House of Representatives. This is a post from Donald Trump on True Social that has been shared on X, where you can find me at Tug Cowart Los, at Front Office Los, and Jeray at Whiskey Click. This is arguably the most significant piece of legislation that will ever be signed in the history of our country. Massive tax cuts, now we know that are going to be permanent. No tax on tips. No tax on overtime, tax deductions when you purchase an American-made vehicle.
No tax on car loan interest, yep.
That's right. Strong border measures, raising pay for ICE and Border Patrol agents, funding the Gold Dome, which Donald Trump's talked about and is a value that we need, especially with the way the Chinese are developing hypersonic missiles. This is something that we absolutely need.
Extension and enhancement of paid family and medical leave, enhancement of the adoption credit. There is a lot in here to help out American families. And that's, I know the spending's always going to get to me as too.
It's bothersome.
But there's a lot of stuff in here that if you want to say, all right, this is the difficult part. Now you need 51 votes in the Senate, and I believe you're not going to have a problem with that. And then this thing is on his desk.
I think so too. And Donald Trump said, now's the time to get this passed through the Senate. He talks about the importance of, okay, Senate, now it's on you. They got to get to work and get this to me ASAP in all caps. There's no time to waste. The Democrats lost control of themselves and aimlessly wandered around, showing no confidence, grit, or determination, and forgotten about the landslide loss in the presidential election. Dude, he goes on. If you go look it up.
Well, I'm curious how
his post is pretty.
The markets
incredible.
Should react to this.
Oh, I think
we should see this as we get all the markets going.
You know how I know that's going to be the case?
Because Morning Joe won't cover it.
Exactly right. There's no ticker in that box. If it were headed in the other direction, the ticker would be up there and prominent.
Yeah, I think the market's going to react favorably to this. And then once it's actually signed, I think we'll see another bump within the markets. And then a lot of this comes down to, let's get the tariff policy that's got to be squared away. Like there's a company that I work with, and one of their products they get from China. And as this 90-day extension, yes, it does kind of lay out some groundwork for it. But you want to see things go beyond that so as to ensure what their costs are going to be moving forward. Because right now that's in limbo for a lot of companies that use, even with smaller part. In this case, they do all their doors in-house except for some of their iron doors, and some of them come from China, and that's a problem for them.
Certainly. I'm a fan of decoupling from China all the way, 100% completely. I know Donald Trump talked about it in the beginning. I think they've dialed that back a little bit. But I really do believe that this is part of a bigger play down the road. When you do. Right now, I don't think he thinks, and I don't think many people think you can decouple all the way from China. As bad as I hate to say it, because I want decoupled away from the communist Chinese party. There's nothing about doing business with communists that's good, either here or there.
No, as of now, you're gonna have to get tariff policy that's gonna have to be laid out, and then if you are able to, as you put it, decouple, and I would like to see them decouple on some important issues like obviously your medications. That's one of them that we should never be beholden to China.
Or anybody, really.
No, that's one of them. It's like, why don't we have that going on here? there's going to be some things, some electronics that you're always going to go through China because of their sweatshops.
Yes,
it makes it cheaper. So there's always going to be that relationship, but there's some key items that I think that you want to make sure you bring that back home.
When you think about medicine specifically, since you brought it up, we're trusting the communist to mix our medicines and send them to us, knowing that their goal, President Xi says he wants this to be the generation of China that becomes the superpower, and this is China's moment. He has stated it out loud many times. And he says the number one obstacle to that, you and I, here in the United States of America. So we're going to trust a man that sends fentanyl through the cartels in Mexico to poison Americans by the thousands, intentionally, knowingly does this. We're going to trust him to mix our chemicals that people need to maintain life.
Yeah, bring it home. That's one of them. We found that was never a topic until we had a global pandemic. Then you found out how much stuff we depend on China to make sure that, for instance, your ibuprofen that is sitting on the store shelves. You're like, wait, hold on a second. Like, what do you mean this all comes from China? Yeah, quite a bit.
It wouldn't take much to mess up a batch of whatever the drug is, or mess up a couple batches. And then when people suffer from it, be like, well, we had no idea it was an accident, complete accident, as a trial run. I mean, call me conspiracy theorist if you'd like, but if you don't think the Chinese Communist Party would do that, man, I got some oceanfront property in Arizona I'd like to sell you. From your front porch, you can see the sea.
That makes no sense to intern Jack. Now, it does for the rest of the audience, but sweet, clean, 19, 18? 20? All right. You can just...
19.
Oh, you are 19.
Okay.
I thought you were 20. Okay.
All right. 19-year-old Jack is like, who is this? What is this you're speaking of? Who is this?
Do you like country music, Jack?
Yeah.
Do you know King George Strait?
No. Okay.
Do you know George Strait?
He doesn't know George Strait.
You don't know George Strait?
You can do thumbs up.
Oh, you do?
Okay.
Do you know Oceanfront Property, the song?
No. That's fine. That's fine.
You're right. You're good point.
That's fine.
Clean Jack doesn't know, but you listening right now do.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Oh, no. Did you just called him Clean Jack?
Well, was that not bad?
No, I'm just saying, like, I was thinking maybe Simple Jack. But I was like, we'll come up with a good nickname, and then we'll kind of go from there.
We'll evolve.
Yeah. Does Simple Jack seem insulting, Jack? Is that not at all to you? Is that fine? Does that resonate with you? Do you know?
No, it works.
Okay.
What about Good Clean Jack?
Good Clean Jack.
Good Clean Jack work?
I can't hear anything.
He's like, I don't know how to operate this machinery.
Yeah, just turn your mic off,
It's
Jack.
fine.
Oh, yeah, we can't even hear me on that stuff. Yeah.
You're good.
Simple Jack.
I bet Simple Jack would know his address.
I got a good brain.
That's right. I bet he would know his address. If we were to, if he could hear us, I bet he would know his home address.
And so, Letitia James, the Attorney General from New York, is now going to be under federal indictment. This is how it's all going to end up playing out. I wonder if she'll be disbarred, but there is a case against her for mortgage and tax fraud. If you haven't been following the story, this woman who went after Donald Trump, who campaigned that she was going to go after Donald Trump, ended up being able to put a case together based on, well, Donald Trump, when it came to Mar-a-Lago, he overestimated the value of Mar-a-Lago. Come to find out, Letitia James, when she was buying property in the state of Virginia, she acted like it was her primary residence, which gives you a different tax bracket that you're paying.
And then did the loan by calling her father her husband.
Another one, so that you could call it dual income. Well, here's our two incomes. Here's where we're going to get a better mortgage rate. So I find it really refreshing that her excuse is, well, I just messed up on the paperwork. I forgot. Like, wait a minute.
You forgot your address?
You forgot where you live? I mean, you are the Attorney General for the state of New York. You forgot that you didn't live in New York and you were living in Virginia. I mean, it's one thing if you happen to be in D.C. and you happen to live in Maryland or Virginia. Right. I mean, that makes total sense. New York, that is...
Way away from Virginia.
That one's hard to mess up.
And even better, when you're filling out that loan application and it says spouse and you put your father's name. There's one thing that I've never done in my entire life. Put my mother's name in this place where my spouse goes. I've never made that mistake. Maybe you have. And if you have, please call and defend yourself at 404-741-1230. Help me understand how you made that mistake.
And let's clarify, too. The woman's never been married, yet she listed her father as her husband.
That seems problematic. That
wouldn't you remember? Like, I don't.
She forgot her dad's name.
I don't. By the time that Tug and I, like our wives, decide that they're done with us, well, then I will know that I have one ex-wife. And Tug will be like, I've got one ex-wife. I won't be thinking to myself, oh, which ex-wife are we talking about?
That's right.
All right, like, she hasn't been married.
Yeah, right.
So how did she happen to forget that she didn't have a husband? How did she end up listing her father as her spouse? It's all because she was trying to cheat the tax code and the mortgage rates.
The least surprising thing that I've heard today is that no one has married Letitia James. That's the least surprising thing that's happened. The most surprising that she listed her father as her husband. The least surprising that she's not been married, because she seems like a bundle of joy.
Oh, she seems like just total greatness.
Yes.
Like, she must be so much fun at parties.
Can you imagine saying, yeah, I just messed it up. I just
forgot where I lived.
It was an accident.
I just forgot where I lived.
Do you believe that? Because I don't.
No, not for
Nobody believes that. But that's her defense. I guess if you got nothing else.
I mean, it's pretty flimsy.
Yeah.
I forgot where I lived.
If you've got nothing else, that's the way to go, I suppose. 2 weeks before the disastrous debate of Joe Biden, the one that took him out of the presidential race, the one that ended his political career, and the one that destroyed the Democrat Party as we know it today, you're seeing the results of all of that happening 2 weeks before that debate. Joe Scarborough, who told you Joe Biden's the best he's ever been. I've met with him. I've interviewed him. And if you don't believe that, you can F off. Joe Scarborough had a disinformation expert, which, I mean.
What?
I'm not sure where you come up with that. I'm not sure how you get that qualification. Why is it you? Where'd you get that degree?
I can't wait till I bring in somebody and tell Tug, this is our expert on country music.
That's right. Yeah.
He's going to teach you something.
Hang on.
I'm the disinformation expert.
No, I am. That's the thing. Like, how do you get the qualification? Where do you get the qualification? What was the lady that they wanted to appoint? The lady with the Mary Poppins lady? I forget her name. She was going to run Jankowitz.
Yes, and it was going to be for the Misinformation Institute.
That's right. So I guess if you're her, you had to get some sort of qualification. They had to figure out somehow that you were going to be the arbiter of truth. I don't know where you get the degree. I don't know where you become an expert. But Joe Scarborough, he found somebody, and they yucked it up on the show. Said Joe Biden is completely fit for duty.
How disinformation is sabotaging America.
Usually, Barbara, we talk about disinformation taking place online, websites that somehow go viral, or from communist Chinese controlling TikTok and them pushing algorithms one way or the other. This is just out and out on the front pages of newspapers now, and it's also on Fox News. This is the disinformation and the constant lies that, in the end, benefit Joe Biden because they lower expectations for the debate. But it's still disinformation.
It's
I think when people hear the Mueller report, they think about what he did or did not find about Donald Trump. But a huge part of the Mueller report talks about Russian disinformation tactics. And one of the strategies in 2016 was to make Hillary Clinton look old, look sick, look like she lacks stamina. That was one of the coordinated messaging points that Robert Mueller found was occurring between the Trump campaign and the Russian efforts to spew disinformation. And one of the themes this election cycle is that Joe Biden is too old to lead. And so everyone is seizing upon this. And it is a classic disinformation tactic to take a germ of truth. There is this video. He does look away, but as you point out, he is looking away to troops to salute them.
Hold on a second. So on September 11th of 2016, when Hillary Clinton shows up at the 9/11 memorial and she basically falls out, they have to grab her by both arms as she's dragging her feet and carry her to a van to toss her into it. And that video ended up going all around the world. You think that I needed some sort of Russian disinformation, misinformation to know that she wasn't exactly the healthiest bird out there?
Or did you need it for Joe Biden? Because that was the point they were driving home.
Yeah.
Is that they did it to Hillary.
They did it to Hillary. I'm like, you didn't need to do it to either one of them.
That's exactly right.
They did it to themselves. Yes, I have eyes. I saw what I saw.
But they needed you to believe.
She looked like me after like the night of my 21st birthday. Like dragging me out at No Frills Grill. Why does he keep throwing up? Why can't he walk?
Exactly.
Okay.
It wasn't alcohol. That's disinformation.
Yes.
That's definitely not what it was.
Here, when it's 2:30 in the morning, Jack, don't do this sort of stuff. When it's 2:30 in the morning, that's different. She was doing it at 8:30 in the morning. At the 9/11 memorial.
And Joe Biden wasn't functional between 10 and 4. Or was only functional between 10 and 4. Anything outside of that was going to be another gaffe.
What was the event? There was an event where he's sitting in the front row, and there's some sort of, I don't know if it's a concert or it's something that's going on, and he's staring off into space, and then he just starts staring at the floor.
Out on the White House lawn. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah, that was one of them where I went, he's not here. Like, there is no way. Like, there's been times where he had gaffes or he was confused or he was a little bit. That's the one where I went, he's totally checked out. Like, if you went to go talk to him, he'd probably talk to you like a 6-month-old child.
And it's being brought up now that there's a Parkinson's diagnosis in there. And I've brought this up before. When I looked at Joe Biden, I saw my father-in-law who is suffering from Parkinson's. And I've told you that I never brought it up to my wife because it's obviously very sensitive, very, very... It's a very sad situation because I love my father-in-law. We have the most wonderful relationship. He's an awesome dude. And it's tough to see him in this situation. And she brought it up to me that just one night we were sitting on the couch talking about it. And I was like, Laura, I would never bring it up. Had you not brought it up, I would have never said it. But you're exactly right. I bet there's more. I bet that's not it, dude. We're going to learn more and more and more and more about health, about cover-up, about... The Jake Tapper book was the straw that broke the camel's back. The dam is about to explode.
So you brought up Joe Scarborough and him having to bring in a misinformation expert so you could argue over who was the bigger misinformation expert.
Right.
Did you ever see the Curb Your Enthusiasm episode with the survivor?
I feel like yes. I feel like the answer is yes. Walk me back through, refresh my memory.
So it's from the show Survivor. Colby is the survivor. He's the guy who was on the show. And there's a dinner that's going to go on that night. And one of the people that is part of the synagogue tells Larry David he's bringing a survivor. And this thing is for survivors of the Holocaust.
Right.
So when he brings Colby there, now he and the Holocaust people are arguing over who's the biggest survivor.
Yes.
That's what I thought about with Joe Scarborough. Who's the bigger misinformation guy? I'm the bigger misinformation guy. No, I'm the bigger misinformation. No, I'm the bigger misinformation.
So ridiculous. But that's what the adults in the room are supposed. That's what they are. That's what Joe Biden brought. That's what he gave us. That
I did send Jerry the audio about the argument over who's the bigger survivor.
Do you have it?
Oh, we'll get to it.
We'll get to okay. All right.
We'll end the show with it. It'll be more fun.
Get a good little laugh with your decaf here on Extra 106.3 9 o'clock hours is brought to you.
No, I'm the bigger survivor.
Brought to you by Southern Exteriors. 8779 Southern, southernexteriors.co, 10% off any job or 0% financing for 12 months on any job you choose. Window store, siding, roofing, gutters, they do it all. And you can be the bigger survivor. Next on Extra 106.3, the Atlantic, they feel terrible about Elon Musk's precipitous decline. Next on Extra 106.3.
If you love 106.3, then you'll love the all-new Extra 106.3 app. It's loaded with replays of your favorite shows like the Morning Xtra and the Kimmer Show, podcasts from conservative voices across the South, and access to Extra's crystal clear live stream from anywhere in Georgia. Grab it now for Apple or Android.
Stop dreaming, start driving. Get the gift that keeps on giving with the Mercedes-Benz Dream Days sales event at RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs. Each of our certified pre-owned vehicles undergoes an exhaustive process of analysis, inspection, and reconditioning until it meets the uncompromising standards of RBM of Atlanta and Mercedes-Benz. For a limited time, get special financing from as low as 2.99% APR. In addition, you'll receive unlimited confidence with Mercedes-Benz's unlimited mileage warranty, delivering continued assurance for up to 7 years. Visit us online to see one of the largest and most comprehensive certified pre-owned Mercedes-Benz inventories in Georgia, with over 170 vehicles in stock in Georgia. Not all offers apply to all vehicles, and special financing available only to qualified customers exclusively from Mercedes-Benz Financial Services through May 31st, 2025. Contact RBM of Atlanta for details on this and other exciting offers. Visit us at rbmofatlanta.com or call us at 770-390-0700 for details.
Neil Borch here. Maybe you've already taken the steps to improve your health, maybe save your life. You're using a CPAP for your sleep apnea. I've been using one for well over 20 years. So right now I'm here to tell you about a source for CPAPs and CPAP supplies here in the Atlanta area. CPAPs, etc. They're in Alpharetta. They have whatever you need. Roddy and Sharon are your CPAP experts, and they'll ship nationwide. More information, CPAPs.com.
Hi, I'm Chris Lalamia, owner of the Trusted Toolbox. Got a to-do list a mile long? No problem. We've got the ultimate solution, our Handyman for a Day program. Here's how it works. You get a skilled handyman dedicated to knocking out your honey-do list. Paint touch-ups, drywall repairs, door adjustments, and much more, all done in one day. You want to jump into spring and not worry about your home? Call us now before the rush for your Handyman for a Day, and call us at 770-623-3097 or visit us at thetrustedtoolbox.com. One call, one handyman, one day. The Trusted Toolbox.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out collection letters, garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it even harder to get out of debt. Don't let tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in taxpayer assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Let them fight on your behalf, helping to put your tax problems to rest. Call the tax professionals at Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-714-8422. 800-714-8422. 800-714-8422.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Securing America. The Coast Guard Academy's class of 2025 graduated Wednesday, ready to begin full-time military service. Acting Coast Guard Commandant Admiral Kevin Lundy.
Our nation expects our military, you, to lead, fight, and win.
Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem told the graduates they now have the rare opportunity to lead and change people's lives.
When consequences come that affect your people, that affect the United States of America, you will get angry on their behalf.
Noem went on to make this suggestion.
Use your talents to find special ways to contribute to our nation's safety, our security, and our prosperity.
Adding that challenges are good, especially in America.
What dream will come next for you? Only you get to decide that. That's the power and the duty of freedom.
The Secretary says the class of 2025 is the first in a brand new Coast Guard. Kevin Uretsky, Fox News.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Here are your Georgia headlines for Thursday, May 22nd. Bond has been granted for 19-year-old Jimena Arias Cristobal, the college student who was arrested in Dalton and detained by ICE. She will have an immigration hearing, but no date has been scheduled yet. Her father was also released last week. Days after BioLab announced it will not reopen its manufacturing plant in Conyers, a town hall was held for victims of the explosion and fire last September. Residents are seeking to file a class action lawsuit later this year for punitive damages. And the Army Corps of Engineers has announced the closing of many parks and campgrounds around the state, citing staffing concerns. 20 campgrounds at Lake Lanier and 2 areas of Lake Allatoona are among those closures. Today's weather, mostly sunny today with windy conditions this afternoon. High temperatures will be in the low 80s. With your headlines, I'm Jerry Payne.
Tug and Los on the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3. 9 o'clock hour brought to you by Southern Exteriors, your home exterior solutions since 1999. 8779 Southern. SouthernExteriors.co. 10% off any job or 12 months, 0%. Financing. CO. That's the website. It's not .com. It's southernexteriors.co. There you go. That's easy to
get. I was a little off on the first one.
That's all right.
I just got excited. You know, I was like, Southern Exteriors. Pow!
bam, like an old Batman, in the '60s Batman. I still love that, dude. If I'm going to watch Batman, is that corny?
Yes.
All right. Is it okay? Then I'm corny because I still like it. Occasionally, it'll pop up on like TV Land or what's that free TV thing? Pluto. There's like a channel on there that shows all the old '60s TV shows that I was really young for, and that were in rerun even by the time I was 8 or 10 or whatever. And they're just nostalgic because my daddy loved them.
I do get a laugh out of. Did you ever see the Lego Batman movie?
I didn't, but you've told me it's great, and everybody that's seen it has told me it's great.
Wheelhouse for my kids because they like the Lego movies. They're all very witty. They're very smart, and it is funny when Lego Batman starts going through different eras of Batman, and one of the ones he's like kind of wants to ignore is that era of Batman, is 60s Batman.
No, so good. That was the best Batman, man. I'm telling you.
I'll say this too. After Michael Keaton, that next string of Batman movies, not very good.
Yeah. Michael Keaton was pretty awesome in the 90s.
Yeah.
Bat Dance on the soundtrack with Prince.
Batman and Batman Forever. Mm-hmm. Both pretty cool. After that, Batman's got a little...
Yeah.
Until Christopher Nolan.
Is that Dark Knight?
Yes.
Is that what they... Yeah. Okay.
Batman Begins, Dark Knight Rises.
I've seen one of them. Probably the first one.
Oh, so good.
I've seen at least one.
If you've only seen the first one, remember, you got in the second one, Heath Ledger gets, Best Supporting Actor.
Yeah.
Posthumously. They're that good. And they're dark. Much darker than the first one.
I guess I saw, maybe it was the second one I saw because I remember the Heath Ledgers being in there. So, yeah, that's probably what I saw. But, regardless, there's a world of movies that one day when I have a moment.
It's never going to happen.
Probably not.
Ever.
But I could dream. I could dream.
He just acts like he's busy all the time. And then when I reach out to him, like, what are you doing right now? He's like, nothing.
Nothing. I'm sitting here on the couch. Can you give me something to watch?
Just sitting here.
There's occasionally I do send him a text and be like, hey, dude, I got
like an hour or two. What can I watch here?
Yeah. And he'll pop me over something and I'll jump in. One of them was like a documentary on trying to beat Donkey Kong.
King of Kong.
So good.
One of the best all time.
So good.
Did you not
loved it?
Was it not? It was totally awesome, wasn't it?
And I'm like Los in the fact that I love documentaries. Typically, music documentaries I can't. It's like Kryptonite to Superman. Just give it to me. I can't move. I'm going to have to sit here and watch this. But yeah, that one was terrific.
I was going to say, have you done Searching for Sugar Man?
Yes.
Okay, so that's a good music documentary of a guy.
So good.
Who, if you don't know the story, he had recorded some albums in the 60s, and they went nowhere except across the world in South Africa.
South Africa. How relevant is that you bring that up because of the story of South Africa obviously being huge in the news.
And he had he spent the better part of his life having no idea that he was a massive star in South Africa.
And then they go and they put on this big, almost like a festival show, and he shows up and there's thousands and thousands, maybe even 100,000. It was a huge number of people that couldn't wait to see him.
And his record somehow made it over there and got airplay, and that's where it blew up. And so this guy was like working in carpentry for like the rest of his life. He had no idea what was going on anywhere else. And by the way, the record industry wasn't going to tell you that you were doing well somewhere else because they would owe you the money. It's a different time.
Was he from Texas?
I think he was from Illinois.
Illinois, okay.
If I remember correctly, they show him. He is like hanging drywall.
Yeah, I mean,
he's a giant star in the music industry in South Africa.
On the other side of the world.
Had no idea.
So
it's a really cool documentary.
Searching for Sugar Man. Go watch it. It is so. If you care about if music documentaries and
or King of Kong, which is free through YouTube.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like 20 years old. You'll love it.
That's right. And then what was the other documentary you sent me about the UFO in Brazil?
Oh yeah, that's First Contact.
There you go. Another good one. And I'm not a UFO guy. Los is. We go back and forth about this.
He preps. He looks for Bigfoot. He believes in UFOs, UAPs.
That's right. They call him crazy front office.
And he's reading the new tax code that'll be coming.
That's right. And there's not enough capital gains.
No changes to capital gains, people.
That part's tough.
All right, that part I lost on.
You did, but you get in the rest of it. And that's what was the inferno of the first 3 years of the first Trump administration. Was just being able to be there and give people the knowledge of what was coming down the pike for taxes and companies able to invest, felt comfortable investing. Now we know that the tax code, the cuts would be permanent. The 2017 code would be permanent because they've already passed the House, if they can get it past the Senate, which looks very good.
51 votes is what they'll need because they're using budget reconciliation. So 51, and it's on his desk.
Do you know who's had a real bad run? Well, the Atlantic magazine would tell you that it's Elon Musk. The decline in their article, they called it the decline of Elon Musk. And I'm like, decline of Elon Musk? What? I must read more. What's happened?
What is this?
Has he got the gout?
I was going to say that the Tesla stock has been going crazy ever since you had who was it that was commenting on it? Tim Walz, who was talking about
right.
like look at it on my phone all the time.
Yeah.
We're like 6 weeks removed from that, and the Tesla stock continues to rise.
That's right. I'd say they lost their mind. He's never been more relevant today. He's more relevant now than he's ever been, and he was already relevant. Everybody knew who he was, Tesla, SpaceX, all those things. But when he decided he was going to team up with Donald Trump, that made him revolutionary. He is as big as he's ever going to be because of his relationship with Donald Trump. Now, some people hate him for that, but it doesn't matter if you're loved or hated. His name is the biggest on the billboard always.
I believe that if we're going to ever look back on this history, like this era that we're living through, and how would you kind of describe it to your grandchildren? What you would say is that you had an unusual circumstance where let's put it out there, a reality TV star and somebody who'd made billions of dollars in real estate, been in movies, a pop culture icon, decided, I'm going to fix the country. And then as things improved and then things went haywire through a pandemic, then the world's richest man said, I'm going to step in and help. And do you realize how strange that really comes across, that I'm going to get involved in the federal government?
Some people would say it was divine intervention, just like the shot in Butler not killing Donald Trump.
Well, if you think about it in Thailand, and a couple other different places, like Manny Pacquiao, the former boxing champion who's going to fight again, doesn't need to happen. That man decided, I'm going to get involved in politics. And everyone's like, well, the champ is getting involved in politics? Well, that's not as extreme as, let's say, because we have athletes and coaches that get involved in politics all the time.
Tommy Tuberville.
How often do we get one that actually runs for president, wins the presidency, and then another guy who says, I'm the richest man in the world, and not only am I going to return a level of the republic to you with free speech and free thought, I'm going to create the world's biggest news site, and I'm going to support that we need to get our spending in order.
That on top of...
It's crazy.
For the reality star, the one that they would tell you is a dictator, the one that they would tell you he's only in it for himself, he's the one that said, if you'll elect me, I'll do X, Y, and Z.
He said, I've probably lost money in this.
And he probably has. Well, first of all, because he didn't take a salary.
No, but the value overall that he's probably taking
without a doubt. And Elon Musk, too. I mean, he's probably taking a personal financial hit during this run. Now, has he made it up? Probably so.
He'll make, yeah.
Yeah, he's not going to... The decline is over-exaggerated with the Atlantic.
There's not going to be the Simple Jack situation where he pulls up at Burger King and he's like, can I get cheese today?
No.
That does not happen to Elon Musk.
But that's the reason I call him a revolutionary, because he physically changed the outcome of what was happening around the world just by allowing you free speech. That's revolutionary. People in that position don't oftentimes. Bill Gates ain't trying to free your speech.
Oh, they don't want to get involved in this sort of stuff. Bill Gates is more interested in Bill Gates, who took the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and started talking about world health. And we want to be involved in world health, which sounded so great. And basically all he did was get involved with vaccines and make sure they were being pumped into people so he could make money differently.
Not only did Elon Musk free your speech, but he also freed America by showing you and I, what our money was being spent on, the fraud, waste, and abuse, and then the ability to use that against us. He showed us that. Without Doge, we don't know about that.
I think one of the magic tricks he pulled off with his people, with his Doge people, big balls and all, like every single one of them that he brought in. Like we had the guy from Harvard, the dude who left school and was like, so now I'm hated, but I'm doing the right thing for the country. Okay, like that's
sounds very familiar, doesn't it?
Sounds real familiar. I was like, I know a little bit about this. We're in good shape here. Hello, friend. What I would point out, again, the magic of the situation. He showed how easy it is to cut spending. Because when you look, when we had the newest jobs report and some of the newest economic data, there was more money flowing into the private sector because of how much was leaving the public sector. And it was mostly tied to DOGE cuts. It really was not that hard to go find $1 billion here, $1 billion there because of how much waste and fraud we have.
But no one was willing to do it.
But nobody wanted to touch it. People were willing to send checks to people that were 200 years old and send them a Social Security check and never question it.
And never say a word. And that's another reason that Elon is so valuable and his name will always be respected, because he got us away from the corruption of the Biden administration through DOGE. And that was afterwards. I should probably back it up, and just investing in Donald Trump's campaign. He changed the direction of the United States, and it was not a gradual. I mean, it was a hard turn.
Okay, to my leftist friends, to all of you out there with a little bit of a communist lean or, pretty middle-of-the-road liberals, I want you to turn the radio up for about the next 5 seconds of what I'm going to tell you, and then I want you to think about it the rest of the day. Okay, you ready? Elon Musk stole the election using Starlink. Ha!
Take that.
All right, now we return back to normal Earth.
Yeah, right.
Because the whole discussion point was, well, look what he did with Starlink to steal the election. I'm like, do you realize how crazy you have to sound in order to go with that?
The network we have on in the studio ran with that. MSNBC, The View ran with that.
He used Starlink to steal the election.
Rosie, how many times has she said that?
Now, that was the conspiracy theorist crazy sort of stuff on Reddit. I mean, their conspiracy theories are not anywhere like ours. Like mine, right now I'm batting like 995, okay? They're batting like 051, right? It's like they're not even close. They're not even close. I mean, they're like, he knew during the night of the election. I knew during the night of the election. As soon as I saw Miami-Dade County and a couple counties in Virginia, I was telling all the guys, it's great. I was like, it'll be over tonight.
And
we're good. It'll be over tonight.
Elon took heat for doing the right thing. People attacked his dealerships. People attacked him personally. And he did the right thing anyway. Unlike Jake Tapper, who only is doing the right thing now because he's getting his pockets padded. That's the difference. That's the decline that the Atlantic wants you to believe that Elon Musk is in. I'll let you decide if you think he's in decline or not. When we continue on Extra 106.3, Florida's national championship team visited the White House, and it proves America is slowly healing. Next on Extra 106.3.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan, and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
Good morning. Here are your sports headlines for Thursday, May 22nd. The Atlanta Braves were off last night after the game against the Nationals in D.C. was rained out. That game will be made up as part of a doubleheader in September. A.J. Smith-Shawver takes the mound for the Braves tonight. He'll be opposed by Trevor Williams. First pitch is set for 6:45. You can hear that game on our sister station's brand new app, 680 The Fan. A wild night in the association as the Indiana Pacers have taken a 1-game-to-none series lead in the Eastern Conference Finals after a wild comeback in the final 3 minutes by the Pacers to force overtime against the New York Knicks, eventually beating them in overtime 138-135. From the Western Conference Finals, it continues tonight with the Oklahoma City Thunder looking for a 2-game-to-none series lead over the Minnesota Timberwolves. That game will tip off tonight from OKC at 8:30. With your sports headlines, I'm Carlos Medina.
Hey, this is Matt from East Cobb. One of the issues that we've had when we first moved in was our dog in our backyard. It was extremely shaded, could never grow grass back there. ATL Turf Co. provided a pet-friendly turf, so it holds up to dogs. My dog likes to have friends over, so when they run around, chase balls, they can skid on it, they can slide on it. Nothing ever happens to it. The transformation of my backyard just looks amazing. We've referred ATL Turf Co. to all of our friends and family. Check them out online at atlturfco.com.
We're smart, we care. We're Central Heating and Air.
Now,
I know there are plenty of HVAC companies out there, but let me tell you why Central Heating and Air Conditioning stands out from the rest. These days, it's hard to tell who's on first. Everybody wants to play. Many of the local HVAC companies, though, have been sold to large conglomerates. And some are even coming back under new names. But at Central Heating and Air Conditioning, they never left the field. They've been your hometown team since 1947. And their dedication to our community has never wavered. They are the Grand Slam you can count on. Central's team of experts know the game inside and out, delivering dependable service and personalized solutions every time. So don't get caught off base. Choose the HVAC team that's always been in the game. Get Carrier products, Carrier warranty, and Carrier peace of mind. Turn to your Atlanta Carrier experts, Central Heating and Air Conditioning. Call them today, 770-GET-HEAT, or visit them online at centralheat.com.
We're smart, we care. We're Central Heating and Air.
You protect your physical health by choosing your doctors carefully. Protect your financial health by choosing an attorney carefully. An accident can be very costly. You want to receive the compensation you deserve. Call Van Sant Law. My friend David Van Sant will take care of you, trust me, very well. The number is 855-GA-INJURY. The website is vansantlaw.com. In the event of an accident, it could be the most important phone call you make.
Want the truth about shopping for new floors? Big box stores might have flooring departments, but Empire Today has flooring experts. There's a huge difference. At a big box store, you might be getting help from someone who's in flooring today, but was stocking toilets yesterday. With Empire, you'll work with a dedicated flooring expert. We bring the store to your home, help find the right floors for your lifestyle, and answer questions. All while you view hundreds of samples with your own furniture, decor, and lighting. You'll get an all-inclusive price estimate and can schedule installation as soon as the next day for in-stock styles. That's Empire's Home Floor Advantage, working with experts who specialize in one thing, flooring. For a limited time, use code RADIO to get $500 off your contract of $3,500 or more when you call or visit EmpireToday.com. That's $500 off with code RADIO. You know the number.
800-588-2300
Today. Offer may not be applied to sales or combined with other coupons, discounts, or savings. Terms apply.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
Let's see, if something costs less, a lot less, but people are actually happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MetaShare. Maybe you've heard joining MetaShare can save you or your family up to $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true. People are just happier with it. They love being part of something that reflects and promotes their values and what they believe in. MetaShare works, too. It's been around for 30 years now, and members have shared more than $7 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care, whether you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan that you're happy with. Here you go. You can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. It's 855-51-BIBLE. That's 855-51-BIBLE. 855-51-BIBLE.
Promises made, promises kept. The president is making the economy great again. He's securing the border for America's safety, and the mainstream media still wants to tear him down.
The media wants Donald Trump to fail. That's their goal. That's how they'll report his progress.
But we know the truth, and we give you the perspective that other stations won't. Atlanta's only conservative voice is Extra 106.3 FM and the Extra app.
Tug and Los until 10. Gosh, this show, when you have shows like this, they just fly by. Thank you for being a part. All that who have on social media at Extra 106.3 and then on the phones at 404-741-1230. You got something highlighted over there. What is it there?
Oh, no, I'm just looking at all the points in the big, beautiful bill where income comes into play. I'm just kind of taking a look at some of the new changes. Like one of the ones that's been bragged about is those people making between, I think it's 30 and 80,000 will see their reduction in taxable income come down by 15%. I just want to understand better because the brackets aren't changing. It's going to range, but apparently there's some sort of way in which through some tax credits that you'll actually be able to save some money moving forward. So I'm just, again, I'm just trying to dig into this so that I have a better idea when we talk about it, not to be like, so we're going to lower your taxes. It's like, no, I want to actually be able to
why? How?
Explain. Right.
That's right.
You know, that little extra stuff that we try and do on this show so that when we tell you something and then everybody else finds out a week later, It's like we told you before.
By the way, we just had John call in, and he heard you mention earlier that you can detox from the vaccine, and he said that he was looking that up, and the very first thing that he found is that, that's often said, and it's misinformation. You don't need to worry about that.
Yeah, that's why you'll find actual doctors that'll tell you about, like, for instance, you actually can do, like when we talk about if you decide, hey, I'm not going to eat for 72 hours, what that does for your cellular system. You'll have oncologists that are very into when it comes to resetting your cells, when it comes to getting yourself ready for cancer treatment, that one of the things you want to do is be able to basically say, I'm going to have 72 hours where, whether it's water, whether it's coffee, this is what it does for you. There's so many of these simple ways to be healthy that since it doesn't end at the end of a needle or a pill, most of the industry doesn't want you to know about it.
Because that's where the funds come in.
I mean, to consider, and I've said this for now years, you had the Israeli data that pointed out that you had a 27 times more likely of a bad outcome when it came to the first couple of strains of COVID if you were vitamin D deficient. Now, what's the importance of vitamin D? Vitamin D is what allows your immune system to work properly. And many people are vitamin D deficient, myself included during that time period. I went and got a vitamin D test, and I was like, I've got to start supplementing with vitamin D. Where do you get vitamin D? From the sun.
Outside.
Most of us work inside. Most of us don't have a lot of exposure to the sun, the natural thing that helps you with your immune system. So when you hear people talk about, especially as they get older, we'll get out and walk. Yeah, that's a big deal for older people in order to keep themselves healthy. It's not just about the walk, it's about the exposure that they get.
It's actually both.
It's both. It's an
really
important deal.
Both are
but
important.
To know that if you could have, in a lot of cases, solved many of the problems that were going on with COVID by just making sure that you were not vitamin D deficient and that your immune system would handle it properly, that's a $5 bottle through Amazon.
Or maybe allow the kids to go outside and play and not put sand in the skateboarding ramps and not remember when they were arresting people for being out on the beach, getting some sun, getting some exercise, the two things that were the biggest help when it came to COVID. You're like, no, you can't do that. What insanity. Like, can you imagine that someone would believe that? That the misinformation, true misinformation campaign that said being close, what was it? Could have to be 6 feet apart. That was bull crap. Going up one direction lanes at the grocery store. Just all the nonsense that misinformation campaign, true misinformation campaign, told you. And they wouldn't allow you to go outside. How ignorant. And not only did our government, did they push it, they knew better. They knew the whole time.
They knew the whole time. And by the way, so one of the people that I do enjoy is Dr. Lynn Finderella, which that is not her name. That's a pseudonym that she goes by. But this is a woman that for a long time would treat members of our military, predominantly women, at like West Point. So like that's the federal government thought well enough of her that they're like, we're going to have you working with our cadets. Like, we want you to keep them healthy. Okay. So like that's part of what she did. And she was part of pushing a lot of this protocol. So for instance, like you can go to Dr. Mark Trozzi, and he does have the vaccine detox, and in this case, it's intermediate fasting for 3 days, coupled with water and a handful of other that are natural products. This helps this cycle out of your system, most notably the LNPs and the spike protein. And you'll find there's a Peter McCullough, there's none of these doctors that'll tell you, here is a cycle to get this stuff out of your system. It is possible. Otherwise, and they talked about it even on Joe Rogan yesterday when they were with Aaron Rodgers of all people. They were talking about some of if you don't get this out of your system, it can hang around, they know, as long as 7 months.
Goodness gracious. So just be aware. Just understand. Read about it yourself.
Yeah, look into it. And the minute that's misinformation, always go find the doctors that have basically been silenced by the rest of the medical industry.
If you're relying on CNN and MSNBC or Fox even.
You're never going to get it through there because they are all bought and paid for by Big Pharma. They are not in the business of telling you to avoid Big Pharma.
It's always all roads lead to it.
Everything ends with, right now, when you look at the big push that we now have, now that the COVID vaccine and the jab is largely going away, It's now turned into, all right, weight reduction medication that can cause osteoporosis and some issues with the heart muscles. And also, let's make sure we put you on as many statins as possible to handle your cholesterol, even though there's not a lot of proof that it's going to extend your life significantly.
Ugh. No, thank you. Oh, no part of
Again,
it.
these are just studies, and this is just what goes on with this stuff.
Take it and do with it what you will.
Take it and do it what
Totally up to
you
you.
will.
Totally
Listen,
up to you.
I made my adjustments. I had a friend of mine who told me the other day, because she was, upset about, like, she's like, oh, my husband's dropped some weight. I haven't dropped any weight. I haven't done this, and this is how I feel. And I felt bad for her because, like she's been a friend for 20 years.
Sure.
And she looked at my wife and I, and she goes, it's just so hard to stick to anything. Like, nobody can stick to anything. And I just kind of looked at her. I go, I've been at this for 5 years. I'm like, I'm not the person to be having a pity party about, like, I got to make a change. I'm like,
It's
yeah,
work.
that's what you do.
It's work.
Yeah.
And if it's worth
work.
it, and if it's worth it, you'll do it.
It's, what is it? You don't make changes without changes to your lifestyle.
That's exactly right, dude. We are 100 days until the college football season kicks off. How about them dogs? Can't wait to that. But I want to take you to the White House, where the University of Florida, which I'm no fan of, but I certainly am now a fan of their head basketball coach.
Oh, sidebar?
Yep.
Remember how we did the story about the president they were thinking about hiring?
Yes.
Yeah.
They figured him out.
That audio that you had, they got a hold of it too, and they're like, nope. So the Marxist communist that looked like he was going to become the president of Florida, out. So good job, Tug. You're part of that.
Well, I want you to hear from the Florida coach. I would never, as a Georgia fan, promote the University of Florida ever. But as a guy that realizes when somebody's dead on right, I want to present. This was the head coach of the Florida Gators celebrating the national championship with Donald Trump. Listen to what he said to Donald Trump.
Mr. President, I like to think of our program similarly to how you think of the United States. We're a meritocracy. All right, we work really, really hard no matter what you look like or where you come from. If you put the team first and win, we're going to play you. And we have a program full of that, guys that have great attitudes, great work ethics, most importantly, want to be at the University of Florida.
Dude, what else would you want Todd Golden to say? What else could he have said? That is exactly what I want to hear. That's exactly what I want our country to do. That's exactly what I want my kid to do. That's exactly what I want our show to do. That is the way. That is anti-DEI. That's the exact opposite of what the Democrats and what Joe Biden's administration and the board of directors who was running it, that's exactly opposite of what they wanted. That's exactly opposite of what they cared about. So to hear him say that in the White House tells me that America's healing. I don't know that would have been a statement they would have made 4 or 5 years ago. I'm just proud of it.
Point out that, listen, it's all commendable and they're champions. That's what it is. I'll also point out that they have one of the top NILs in the entire country.
Good.
It's fine. Yeah, good. You made what you got to make.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
I mean, I'm just saying, when you start talking about the meritocracy, I'm like, okay, it's been rewarded. And it's been rewarded to them.
That's exactly right.
And we're going to reward our guys.
That's exactly right, dude.
I'm just saying, it'd be one thing if you're like, hey, we didn't make the tournament, and we have one of the top NILs in the country.
That
like,
can go together.
This goes together.
Right.
You're a champion, you got one of the top NILs in the country. You're making that money.
Dude, I love it. That if there's anything good about NIL, maybe that's it. Because I know there's lots of drawbacks too. All right, that's going to do it for us. Appreciate you being here. Thank you for listening. For Los and Jure, my name is Tug. Y'all come back now, you hear?
Bye, Simple Jack.
See you, Jackie.
Live and local news talk continues at 3 p.m. with Kimmer, Pete, and Flounder. It's the Kimmer Show, only on Xtra 106.3 and the Xtra app.